Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by sourcevibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I will always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, January the 3rd. We have a great show planned for you tonight. Tonight we will be concluding our series on King James Demonology. We're in the last book, which is the third book. So I'm looking forward to us finishing up that series tonight, as well as we have a lot of items to go over tonight with the news, a lot of things going on up in the sky. And if time permits, I want to give a preview of our upcoming series that we will do on the Forgotten Black Nobility. So with that said, let me bring on my co-hosts. I see them in the queue. Let me bring on Brother Sean. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Wholeness and power says I'm well. What about you?
I'm well. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise.
Your voice. All right. Let me bring on Sis Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Peace and love to you, too, Sister Rhonda and Brother Sean. I'm going to get my little in. Happiness and health to you all.
No, same to you, sis. Same to you. Good to hear your voice. All right. So before I get into the news, I will ask if Brother Sean, you have anything? We'll go ahead on with the fuckery you want to discuss with the family.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay.
once again, we keep coming around to paperwork.
Oh, Lord.
And
here we go.
right now, what it seems is that the Aboriginal community is now teaching Moorish law classes.
What?
I mean, they're basically getting off into the etymology of words now, getting off into court cases, this, that, and the other. I mean, ain't that the same shit with a different label?
Yeah.
My thing is, okay, it's great that people are finding out who we are as a people.
Right.
But the answers ain't in their paperwork. I don't understand why people don't see that the system itself is the enemy, irregardless to what so-called color being we're talking about.
Right.
The
right.
system is against everybody. It's that
That's
1%
right.
at the top that implemented the system that has everybody else enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the fact that they're still seeking remedy in paperwork and expecting these people to be fair when they came in the first place, they wasn't fair.
Right.
They ain't honored shit. So, I mean, what makes you think they're going to honor a piece of paper now? You have no way to enforce it.
Right. Wow. Point well taken. I didn't know that, brother. And, I mean, you know, because, Brother Sean, you and I have been talking back and forth on the research that, you know, we've been doing for up-and-coming shows, you know, with the Tartaria Empire and the next series we're going to do next week on the Forgotten Black Nobility and the 13 Colonies. What's going on today? This shit is nothing new, family. It's nothing new. It's not exclusive to the Americas. We're talking identity theft across the entire planet. So I'm with you. You know, as they say, the definition of an insanity is keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. But, you know, then it kind of goes into what I've been saying is that you're going to see a split among the quote conscious community, which that word has turned into a joke, unfortunately. But you're going to see a split because you're going to see some that don't want the system to end. They just want to rule the system or have the system work in their favor. And then you're going to have those of us that see it's all bullshit. It's all an enslavement concept that we don't need. And it totally needs to be destroyed and for us, in order for us to be free. So it's unfortunate, and that concept applies to the system totally being destroyed. Like you said, Brother Sean, that's across the board, whether you're indigenous or not. It's not working for anyone. So, you know, it's unfortunate that some are still going down that route and going with the legalese and, you know, hell, we had someone call into the show that went up in the courtroom trying to use legalese and got trapped up in a bad way, a really, really bad way, which so it's unfortunate, but, you know, some folks have to keep bumping their head until they're tired of bumping their heads. But Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't know that some folks were going down that route.
Mm-hmm.
Sis, did you have any? I'm sorry, we're done. Were you complete, Brother Sean?
Yeah, I was done, but you'll see it when you get to looking. You ain't even got to look hard, but they teach them, like I say, the etymology of words, court cases, this, that, or the other.
They've been teaching that.
Go ahead, sis.
They've been teaching that for a while. They've been doing that since at least 2016. The problem is the foundation that they put it on is the wrong foundation. You can't get your freedom under what you're saying is something that's enslaved everybody. And they think that everybody thinks they have the right words to use to get your freedom, and you don't. You absolutely do not have it, because they like in the conscious community or the Aboriginals or whatever you want to call them, they say Abraham Lincoln is the one that gave us our freedom. Abraham Lincoln did no such thing. No such thing. And they taught that, and I said, what I know, and I heard that he's the one who was responsible for the Lieber Codes who federalized this all. So how did he give us our freedom? No, he didn't. He didn't even want to give us nothing. We were a commodity to him. So anyway, but that wasn't what I was going to talk about. But that's what they have their foundation set on is what the paperwork that he set out for us, they claim, is what you can use to get out of bondage, and it is not true.
Right.
He used the codes to federalize this. And if he federalized this, that means he made you a slave to the federal government. And see,
my whole... I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Excuse me. Just like every Native American, when you find out your tribe, they make your vote. That's your Lieber Code. Federalizing you. Taking you and all your possessions under the Voting Act, the Amendment 13 and 14. So, come on now. Every time we try to find the door that gets out, we can't get out the door because the doors are closed with their key and their locks.
Right, because we're looking for doors in their house.
Exactly.
That's the missing piece. And quite frankly, what's missing in the conscious community is spirituality. You have a lot of folks that put the knowledge out there, but they don't have the spiritual component, the spiritual basis of universal law. Universal law don't require no motherfucking paperwork. Universal law does not require you to classify who you are. Universal law does not require you to pay to live on Mother Earth. These are just basic concepts in spirituality that folk are lacking. And if I have said this once, I have said this 1,000 times, that you do not fight them with their own game. You are the spiritual supreme being. You're supposed to be fighting on a spiritual level. But if you're fighting to be at the top of their system that's against natural law, help me to explain how you feel you're going to win that.
You won't.
Because they're wrong out the gate, because everything they've done has been against natural law, but yet you want to find paperwork to help you navigate through that system and or rule the system. Instead of, from a spiritual perspective, saying it's against natural law and it all has to go. That is the missing component in the conscious community.
Right.
Folks either arguing about, what nationality you are, trying to tell people who their lineage and heritage is, just arguing over stupid shit. Instead of getting back in tune with the planet, getting back in tune with the land beneath your feet. Now, I'm going to be real honest. Most of the people on the indigenous side, they don't talk about the land. They don't talk about the land. It's all about, getting recognized, that's who you are, and getting above the statutes, codes, and privileges. The land is like all the way down the list. And when we get into the series next week on the Forgotten Black Nobility and the 13 Colonies, you're going to see how the fuck it's all about the land.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the controllers, the white man, that's all the fuck he cares about is the land and you as the people. He don't give a fuck about that fiat. None of that shit. It's the land that has the value. It's you as the people that have the value. You are the caretakers of the land. And most focus is on every fucking thing else but the land. And being self-sustainable. And until folks get it right, they're going to keep wandering and be fucking lost.
Rhonda, I was listening to a video called Disclosure.
Now, the new Disclosure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all guys got the story wrong. This ain't yours to get back. And that's exactly what...
That. Oh, yeah, I was motherfucking fired up, sis. I had to email Sean on that motherfucking bullshit. I'm like, hold on, blood. So you motherfucking think you finna rewrite the script? I think the fuck not.
Yeah, I said, you got to be kidding me. They act like they are the good guys. And they were put in slavery, and they lost everything, and Mr. Trumpet is going to get it all back for them. Because it's there.
Brother Sean and I just peeped game on this over the last week and a half, and on one of those folks' YouTube channel, I called them on their card, and I left a comment asking them, well, if the white people held all of this knowledge and this ancient technology, then who were the black royals? I ain't heard motherfucking back yet. So your point is very well taken, and these are the things that as melanated indigenous folks, and it's just not here in the Americas, this is across the globe. Not that it ain't no globe, across mama, where we need to get our shit together and get it together fast. Because as this energy keep coming through, you as an indigenous person, you have a responsibility to the planet. You are caretakers of the planet. And if you were asleep on your job, worried about all this other motherfucking man-made bullshit, worried about a system, you're going to have consequences to pay. But yes, sis, I noticed that it's a new wave of information being put out. Once again, trying to rewrite the story, but we got some for their ass. Oh, we got some for their ass this time. They ain't getting ready to motherfucker get away with it. But the point being, indigenous folk around the world need to get their shit together.
Well, they better get their junk in order, that junk DNA. Well, when they get that junk together, then maybe they'll understand what we're talking about. Because as they come online, they'll remember who they are.
Exactly.
Until they do, they go fall for the okie doke.
Yep.
And keep falling for the okie doke. So
yep.
I was, because Kalai.
Yeah, he don't be playing.
Got that 90% of your DNA is coming back online,
yeah.
And it's going to come. Yeah, come by 2021. But I have news for you. It's already here on a lot of us.
It is already here on a lot of us, and it's interesting because it's so much going on right in front of our faces. What's beneath our feet, what's in the sky, and particularly sis, and she'll know who I'm talking about. Talks about hearing these grinding noises coming from the ground. And I personally started taking pictures of the sky. Just, walk outside, take a picture without the flash on, get back, because the flash will distort it. So if you take the flash off, you have a digital camera, because most people have digital cameras now. You'll pick it up and blow that up. You'll be surprised the things that you are seeing. And these are the spiritual components that folks are missing because they're so busy in the weeds worrying about a goddamn colonized system that's not going to stand anyway.
No.
They don't fucking have nothing to give you. Sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
They keep wanting to go to movies from the past when they've implemented something new during their lifetime, and they keep overlooking Adrift since they want to do paperwork.
No, I think who else did you say talked about it? Our other boy,
was it
Autonomous
one? Yeah.
Yeah. We're the only two, to my knowledge, Autonomous One and us, that talked about Adrift. It's got everything there, so what the fuck they hold in motherfucking classes on court cases and all that bullshit? Why aren't they picking up that document and implementing from that document within their own individual family tribe? See, that's the bullshit that be pissing me the fuck off.
Well, even though once they get off into that, they'll realize that once again they have to be recognized. But
Native American.
That's something that they implemented when all this talk about indigenous Americans started coming to the forefront. So they are ready for it.
Yeah, but at least they would be closer. But the route they're going now, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? And to show you how this stuff, they're trying to, let me tell you something. The colonizers are not that smart. They're not that smart people. They are not creators. They are imitators. So once they find a formula that works, they keep running that motherfucking play. And how lost can we be to still be letting that play trick us? That's what be fucking me all the way up. You mean to tell me for hundreds of years you gonna let a motherfucker run the same game on you?
Hey, that's turn the other cheek.
That's even beyond turn the other cheek. That's just being stupid. That's not turning the other cheek. Because the folks out there that's studying now, they ain't thinking about no turning the other cheek. They are ready to slash throats, but they keep using the same formula. And he keep running the same fucking formula on you. I saw something on Facebook where one of the celebrities had got a group of melanated celebrities together to go over to Ghana. And I just cracked the fuck up. I'm like, this is the same shit all over again. They're trying to push Ghana down the indigenous Americans' throat to trick you to go over to Ghana. Isn't that the same motherfucking Negro land all over again?
Syria. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's no different, people. Stop playing their games with them. Fuck them. You know who you are. Move in silence. Do what the fuck you need to do in silence. And let that be that. Because holding classes on YouTube, you already given them your fucking playbook. You don't think they going to be ready for you? So I'm just going to get off of that because I'm about tired of the silly shit. It's silly to me. Okay, sis, did you have any? Go ahead on with the fuckery you wanted to bring up.
What I'm talking about, the disclosure was mine, and then I look at Kalima Ots, 90% of our DNA is returning. Mm-hmm. And so it's so juxtaposed to each other that they're trying to steal the DNA wake-up call that we're supposed to be listening to. And we're supposed to be the creators, and now they're trying to they are. Now that is what ticked me off.
Well, yeah, I got pissed with that when I saw them trying to push that as well about what they didn't motherfucking created. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Isn't it 70% of them don't even feel bad that they had enslaved us and with their ancestors?
Almost 75. It was 74.5%. That's why I snapped in that motherfucking comment section in that goddamn article.
So that's the ones they talking to, the ones who don't care. So they need to understand that most of these cultures on this planet know the word rapture. And our ancestors are here. They ain't coming. They're here. So they have the things in the sky is telling you they're here. So these people, or 74% of them, is going to be snapped up. And it's going to be rapture time. And it ain't going to be a good word like they didn't talk to you in that church. You need to look up the, excuse me, Brother Sean, etymology of the word rapture. It means rape.
Well, you know, it's interesting because, and we're going to talk, well, we'll get to that later about the rapture, but what's frustrating to me is no one should have to come down here from around the motherfucking corner, up the block, to save us from a motherfucking thing. And excuse my language, family, but they done pissed me the hell off now. Nobody should have to come and save us from anything.
Amen, sister.
Either you're tired of suffering or you're not. If you're tired of suffering, do something about it. Become self-sufficient. Stop depending on their system. It's dead. I don't know how many times we have to get on here and tell you, how many times they have to get up and show you that it's dead. You are the creator. Create your own things.
It's just like this government shutdown. They shut down because they broke. They don't have the money. They're trying to get out of all their debts they owe people. So people talk about they're going to open back up the Democrats and this and that and the other. They're working against Trump. It is such a psyops. It's just so pathetic. They're trying to stand on one breath, one lung, and the right one is the biggest one, and that's dead, and they have to use the left one, which is the smallest one. And they don't have any money to do their bills. So they have to shut down to regenerate money if they can. It's not not to save anybody. What was it, January the 2nd? They were supposed to unseal all these indictments and tell all this stuff about who did what to whom. This is the 3rd. Ain't nobody done nothing.
Right, because that's the psyops that they keep running on a select group of people, and that's why I stand firm in my conviction. I don't give a fuck what the U.S. court does. That's why I'm so strong in my conviction. Because if I'm so concerned about what the fuck they're doing, that means I have a dependency on them, right? That means I am waiting on someone to save me, instead of making my own motherfucking individual plans. And how many times do we have to say it is dangerous for us to depend on folks to feed you, educate you, and to house you? It is dangerous not to have basic fucking survival skills. Now, if you're going to teach some classes, teach that. If they were to shut this shit down right now, how many people could feed themselves? How many people could do it? This is the shit that frustrates me with our people with this bullshit. No, I don't want to hear that corporate bullshit. Because it's going away. We shouldn't have to wait on no star family. None of that. You have everything you need to save your goddamn self. If you can't save yourself, that means you can't save your family. You have cursed yet another generation. You are not supposed to be dependent on anyone. We have gotten so far removed. And the planet is showing you every fucking day, and people are still not even paying attention to that. That she is shifting, she is changing, and she's purging. So if you're not in line with the proper frequency, with universal law, your ass is out of here. No corporation, no statute of codes, none of that shit is going to save you because it's all going to be gone. How many earthquakes does she have to shake? How much fucking water does she have to rain down and flood out cities for y'all to get it? I'll yield. Yes, Brother Sean.
I would refer to our DNA as junk, and no part of it is junk. It may be inactive.
Right, dormant.
Junk. The greatest stuff ever created. So I could never refer to it as junk. But actually, it wasn't created. It's the greatest thing that is.
True.
Yep.
That's what they True.
But also on top of that, everything is just us remembering.
Yes.
And we have to do what's necessary in order to remember. And the biggest part of that is letting go.
Letting
People
it go.
are having such a hard time with shit because they keep trying to hold on to the bullshit and compare it to other shit. I mean, something that your sworn enemy, this being that hates you, hates mama, hates nature, hate everything about you, and is trying to change everything so that it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you want to listen to instead of going within and knowing You're conflicted because your higher self is telling you something.
Yep.
And you don't want to listen to it. You think that's the boogeyman.
Yep.
The boogeyman got you thinking that you're the boogeyman.
Yep.
But hey, it's all a great show. I mean,
yeah, at the end of the day, right? They'll get there when they get there.
I'm about to quit worrying about y'all because yeah,
I know.
We got shit we got to do. We trying to make sure we up out of here. So I mean,
exactly.
I see you on the other side.
Right. Because this bullshit here, they've been there, done that, got the damn T-shirt. I'm done with it. Don't want no part of the corporate system. Don't want to rule the corporate system. Don't want to be able to master navigate through it because the shit is gone. Bottom line, it's an enslaved, death system. Point blank, period. So, yes, very, very good point. And, just one last point, sis. You know, again, it's sad that the ancestors, and number one, we are the ancestors returned, but the ancestors that are witnessing, you know, on one hand, they're proud because those that are awakened and are truly unlocking their DNA, and stepping up to the plate, seeing it for what it is. I know they're extremely proud. Then on the other hand, they're probably very saddened to see majority of us still stuck under a lot of these spells that we can easily get from under, because that's what this whole new energy, or what they call the quote new age, is all about. Okay, so you know it is what it is. Some will repeat cycles. That's their choice. That's their business. Oh well. So okay, all right, family. So just in the news, someone posted this article on Facebook. And it really, I'm like, whoa, this is deep. So this goes on the spiritual side, what we've been talking about, folks not paying attention. This came from Business Insider, the 27th of December. Saturn is officially losing its rings, and they're disappearing much faster than scientists had anticipated. If you were to pick Saturn out of a lineup, you'll probably recognize it by its iconic rings. They are the biggest, brightest rings in our solar system, extending over 280,000 kilometers from the planet, wide enough to fit 6 Earths in a row. But Saturn won't always look this way because its rings are disappearing. That's right, Saturn is losing its rings, and fast. Much faster and even than scientists had first thought. Right now, it's raining 10,000 kg ring rain on Saturn per second, fast enough to fill an Olympic-sized pool in half an hour. This rain is actually the disintegration remaining of Saturn's rings. Saturn's rings are mostly made up of chunks of ice and rock, which are under constant bombardment, some by UV radiation, there we go with the UV radiation, from the sun, and others by tiny meteoroids. When these collisions take place, the icy particles vaporize, forming charged water molecules that interact with Saturn's magnetic field, ultimately falling towards Saturn, where they burn up in the atmosphere. Now we've known about the ring since 1980s, when NASA Voyager mission first noticed mysterious dark bands that turned out to be ring caught in Saturn's magnetic field. Back then, the researchers estimated the rings would totally drain in 300 million years, but observation by NASA's former Cassini spacecraft give a darker prognosis. Before its death dive into Saturn in 2017, Cassini managed to get a better look at the amount of ring dust raining on Saturn's equator and discovered that it was raining heavier than previously thought. With the clearer observations, scientists calculate the rings had only 100 million years left to live. Now it's tough to imagine a ringless Saturn. But for much of its existing, the planet was as naked as Earth, while Saturn first formed around 4.5 billion years ago. Studies suggest the rings are only 1 to 2 million years old tops. That's younger than some dinosaurs. So when you think about it, we're pretty lucky we happen to be around to see those magnificent rings. Really lucky, in fact, because efforts to study those rings have led us to other discoveries. For example, as Cassini explored Saturn's moon in Enceladus, it uncovered a trail of ice and gas leading back to Saturn's E-rings. Enceladus is the whitest, most reflective moon in our solar system. And by studying the rings more closely, scientists now know this. Turns out the moon is constantly gushing out gas and dust. Some of it ends up in space and in the E-ring, while the rest snows back onto the moon's surface, creating blinding white frost. So, who knows what other discoveries might be hiding within the rings? At the very least, it's clear we better keep looking while we still can. Okay, so again, that was from Business Insider. This might be the South African edition. Business Insider, South African, dated December 27th, 2018. Saturn is officially losing its rings, and they're disappearing much faster than scientists had anticipated. So let me take a sip of water in case you all want to put something on it, because I got a few things I want to say on that.
Yeah. Okay. Saturnalia.
Exactly.
Allegedly, their God, power source, whatever, how they come and claim
yes.
it. Saturn losing its ring, them losing their hold. Are we confessing?
See, I knew you all would get it. Exactly. Exactly. Sis, did you have anything you want to put on it before I put my 2 cents?
Well, one of the things that I know about their science, they always lie. I remember they said we weren't going to be into the center of the galaxy for another 300,000
right.
years or something. And here we are. So they know nothing. They just make it up as they go along. So, they put all that calculus together, but I guess they didn't pay attention to it when we were teaching them the truth. So, they tire me out. You know, we weren't supposed to do this until this, and then we weren't going to do this until this. And they got this now bowling alley comment that's their big Saturn, their big satellite is showing, and it's not going to be here for hundreds of thousands of years. I said, and anybody believe all that crap, they need to shut up, because they always don't tell the truth. And the man, when he said all this stuff about their stuff, you could tell he lied. And you just have to look for them lying, because they're not a good confessors. They never tell the truth. They're scientists just up as they go along.
Right. Well, they talk with the forked tongue, so they'll tell you something, but they're putting the truth and lie in it at the same time.
You remember that lady in 2002 that was in prison, and she said in 2019 there was going to be a comet that strikes this planet.
And burn their asses up, right.
Now they saying that, that comet ain't going to come here. It'll be 300 million years, whatever he said. And he said it with the biggest lying face I ever seen. I said, okay.
Right. And see, with Saturn, I just want to remind the family that, Saturn is associated, like Brother Sean said, with them, the controllers or the parasites. That's a more accurate description. That's their religion that they worship, the planet Saturn. Okay, so you do a little research on what that means, Saturn equaling what Satan really is, and what that, the black cube and all of that they worship over in Mecca. Do a little research, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay.
That's that Dan Brown stuff, isn't it?
That's that what?
Dan Brown stuff. The movies they put out.
I don't know
Dan Brown?
I don't know if he's Saturn. He did things on the Catholic Church.
Yeah, they do that.
Okay, but just to be more specific, family, because I want you to enter and understand what's going on. And someone in the chat, GD Thomas 42, greetings and shout out to you, said Satan, parenthesis, Saturn is done on Mother Earth. Absolutely. That's the coding that they're giving you and the breaking up of those rings, okay? That's breaking up that particular energy that they were harvesting via Saturn, okay? That's what they're trying to tell you. And they admitted that the quote sun UV rays is breaking it up. Well, wait a minute, blood. That has to mean that something has changed with the sun for all of a sudden the acceleration of the Saturn rings to be breaking up. Okay, so they're not going to come out and tell you that not only do we have a binary sun, meaning at least two, although folks are showing pictures in the sky and videos that we have three bodies up there. So that's what's aiding in the breaking up of those Saturn rings, and not to mention all of the other planetary/energy bodies that are in the solar system as well, because the whole entire parasitic energy and structure is being destroyed. Okay, if you look up Saturn and equate it to the chakra systems, if I'm not mistaken, Saturn is equivalent to the third eye. Okay, so that's deep, family. If Saturn's rings are being destroyed, that is showing you from a physical perspective the energy that is being changed in the solar system on Mother Earth. Okay, so all of this other physical stuff that people talk about with the corporate system, this paperwork, that paperwork, identifying with all of that, that is all a part of a parasitic, low vibrational system. It's leaving. It is leaving. The planet is shutting all of that low vibrational energy down. And that means that system has to go with it as well. Yes, brother.
Since you put it in the context of chakra, you can also look at it that our pineal glands are being decalcified.
Decalcified, you say it, right?
Yeah, decalcified.
Yep.
Also, I mean, they do talk about it. You got to remember, though, they call it climate change. We heating this bitch up.
True that. True that.
They call it climate change. It's so many things that fall up under climate change.
Exactly.
And what our people have to realize is Mama and us is changing the climate. Their days of playing with the climate is over with.
It's over. It's over. It's absolutely over. I 1,000% agree with you. And I don't know, Brother Sean, how they're predicting the weather for you, because you're close, you're right on the water. But I know here, they cannot get the shit right. They want to call for it to be cold so bad. Oh, and it's going to snow, this, that, and the third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wake up in the motherfucking morning and it be still mild. And I be rolling. I'm like, oh, yeah, them days of y'all setting the parts of the mama code, that shit is over. Now, she is like doing some purging. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Just like on quote-unquote New Year's Day. It was in the 50s here.
Yep. Kicking it. Real nice and mild.
But, there's a lot of places they're not showing what is like Russia and China where they really are freezing. Yeah. But, there's the scriptures about the war in heaven. And that is what you see. And what they're talking about with all these crafts that's in the sky and the angels and all that kind of stuff, they're doing royal battles up there. They are really doing royal battles up there. And the sun is taking over and stepping into the place it's supposed to be with his binary suns and the trinary suns and whatever four suns is coming. So, yeah, the heavens are fighting too. Because when you remember the book where the planets decided they're going to get out the way when Nibiru's in the house.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right, and we just had a planetary alignment. I can't remember if it was the 24th. It was sometime last week. I can't remember the specific date, and I just kind of shook my head because remember, they're starting to admit that they're seeing in the identifying all of these other, they're calling them exoplanets. Yeah. Okay, they've identified an iron one, an ice one, a water one, and last week I read for you all, they identified one of precious stones of rubies and sapphires. That's coming directly out of that Sumerian tablet.
Exactly.
Directly out of the Sumerian tablet.
Well, we're also going to have a super moon, a blood moon, on the 21st. And we're going to really be heating up because it's ominous. It's going to be over Washington and over Israel. And they're looking at it as a bad sign.
Well, they should. If you're not in alignment with Mother Earth, it is a bad sign for you. Absolutely. It's a bad sign. So that's why, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
Well, they say Trump was born on a blood moon. And I don't know. Maybe during this blood moon is when some of those indictments are supposed to start going down because he'll be fully protected then. From what I hear, there was recently an assassination attempt on him.
Yeah, I heard that. The Marine.
Yeah, the Marine.
Well, I mean, all I know is that the planet is showing them what's going down. So they can keep bullshitting if they want to behind the little scenes on them funky-ass indictments if they want to. It really, and to be honest, it really doesn't matter because based on the one group that's talking about the corporate side with the indictments and all of that, I see and I hear a lot of military movement within the U.S. You hear the military helicopter craft all day long, on and off all day long, especially at night. You hear the motherfucking trains running.
Right.
You know, folks have been putting YouTube videos up where them still trying to get supplies together, underground supplies together. So don't let them fool you. Behind the scenes, those parasites are scrambling.
You're running.
Trying to figure out how they're going to survive. Because the purge has already started. And nothing they can do can back it up. And like you said, sis, they're not talking about at all how fucking cold it is over in Asia and Russia. They ain't talking about that.
Mm-mm.
And the floods that's been jumping off in Indonesia and all those other places.
Nope.
Uh-huh.
But we should pay attention to what's going on with them, whether or not we have any emotion involved is a whole different story. As above, so below. Everything that's going on with them, this stuff is taking place in the other realm first and taking place in the sky. Because that's where they was getting their protection from. Now all their protection is being removed. So if we do want to bring up Inky and Leo, they're getting their ass kicked for all those who down with them. Them some bitches on the road.
Yep.
So, whoever they think that they had in a position of power, and whoever they got y'all bowing down to, them some bitches on the run too. I don't give a fuck what name you do. Call him out. He on the run. He on the run.
I agree.
That's true.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And, you know, just for the melanated people, what I have been seeing, and not everybody, but those that are following the corporate side, they cannot distinguish like you can distinguish, Brother Sean. They're literally relying on Trump card to free them. That's fucking dangerous. To depend on anything or anyone outside of self to free you. That's why I'm so strong in my conviction. Now, I'm not totally blind to what's going on to the corporate, but that's why I personally keep putting out, I don't give a fuck what they're doing, because I have seen too many of our people that it's almost like Prez O was when he was in office, being a savior. Now folks have shifted the focus to Trump card as the savior. And that is not the case. He has been put in place to be the last seated president of that corporation, and he's just following orders to close up the books, close up the door. Okay, so you'll see him try to set some things right for the melanated indigenous people, and then he'll try to give his own people some hints to get their shit together as well. Okay, but most people, and I'm going to be real honest, most of the melanated people that's following him have just replaced the rah-rah of Press O with him. He's going to save the day, and that is not the case. He's just playing a role. Okay, and what folks are missing is what is their role in this whole situation. Their role is not to sit back and be the damsel in motherfucking distress. They're supposed to be putting in work with breaking the cycle of dependency on the corporate system, with raising their vibration by keeping your thoughts, by creating the world that you want to see, by teaching your children, by cleaning up your generational bloodline, instead of waiting on somebody else to flip a switch so you think you're going to get a check or something in that nature, if that makes sense.
Yep. Do you know Fulford put out a video, and he straight out calls the U.S. government illegitimate as of 1871. And I thought to myself, holy moly, he's straight out talking about it and saying it. So, you know, if he's saying it, everybody's going to be finally realizing how illegitimate this government is. And everything you've been saying, everything Brother Sean has been saying, and I have to put a little 2 cents in there too, it's coming to pass. They are going down. Their own people know they're illegitimate. So
he
that's kind of
he is still.
Huh? Yeah, he is. He is, because I fucked with him and some shit. Yeah, because
I know
he's
only saying that. But
yeah, and I know you know that, sis, but we have to put that out there so folks won't go running following him as well.
No, don't follow him. He lies too. He's there. He's one of their people, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out how come he's playing this shell game by squealing on them, and yet trusting them too at the same time. He does a double.
He always straddles the fence because he'll never say anything negative against the Catholic Church. That's how I knew he was full of shit out the gate.
Or Israel. He doesn't.
That's another one. True that.
And what's his name? Alex Jones never said anything negative. So you know what? What side his bread was buttered on. So
right.
Yeah, but now he's saying how illegitimate they are since 1871, and I'm like, he chose a really good date. Really good date.
Yeah, because that lets you know that their back is against the wall, and
right.
Now they're going to try to come with some motherfucking packages or new contracts.
Right.
And
just like you said they were going to do.
That's where the trickery comes into play. But them still playing the same script on the people. So in other words, oh, yeah, damn, you called us. Okay, well, let's strike up something new.
Yeah,
oh, okay. No, bitch, we ain't striking up a motherfucking thing. Pack your shit and get to stepping. And hope you don't get purged off of mama in the fucking process. How about that? So that's the only reason he's coming out with that. The more desperate they get, the more truth that they tell. And none of it is going to fly. Like I've been saying out the jump to the Caucasian folks. You have to live in total truth. You can no longer straddle the fence. You can no longer pick up the side of history that you want to fucking pick up to make your bloodline or your lineage look in a certain light. You have to tell the whole fucking truth.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, Brother Sean. Go ahead.
When you were saying, like how they declaring a national emergency, telling people to stock up on so much stuff.
Mhm.
I even have questioned that. Because if our frequencies are high and we're in tune with Mother and we moving on with her, don't you think she's going to provide for us?
I hear that.
That's a good point.
We're able to create our own reality. The thing
That's
is,
true that.
Any of this stuff that people are stocking up on is still the same corporate shit. You still putting that same bullshit into your body. And mama vibrating at a higher frequency. Anything that she's going to produce is going to be at a higher frequency. And who's to say it's going to be the same shit?
It very well may not be. It totally may not be.
I'm just, it's just a thought. On one hand, we say we trust Mama and the universe, but then on the other hand, we say we got to stock up on this bullshit.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So that's something to consider. I mean, me personally, I'm not going to sit on the air and be phony. I'm a gardener. So I already have seeds.
Mm-hmm. That's your personal, natural relationship.
Yeah, it is. I'm literally an organic gardener because that's what I feel. We're going to have to put our hands back in the soil.
Right.
And Mother will assist with the frequency rising to replenish. Because a lot of the trees, a lot of the vegetation, all of that stuff is going to have to be replaced. So now that's from my aspect when I talk about stocking up. Now, I don't know what other folks are saying. I know I have seen people peddle some of the prepackaged dry army food.
Military rations.
Yeah, that's what you call them. I've seen them package that. I'm like, well, shit, I might be dead from all of my fucking sodium messing with that and nitrates messing with that. So to each his own. But when I talk about stocking up, I personally have my seeds from organic. So now that's just me because I feel we're going to literally have to put our hands back in the dirt, plan the communities, because at the end of the day, Mama will do the work from an environment standpoint of start wiping folks out and raising the vibration, but we're still the caretakers of the land. We're still caretakers of the land. So now that's just me personally.
Yeah, just saying.
But I understand that completely. You got a relationship with her. Most people don't.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking at it from the standpoint of the things that are happening here. Certain areas are about to freeze over. Certain areas are unthawing. Those areas that are unthawing.
Yep.
You already know at one point it was vegetation and everything growing over there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's automatically going to start growing again.
Yes, and it'll grow where she wants it to grow.
Right. And with the Star family on hand, we see how big some of them damn ships is. The migration may not be so difficult.
Right.
For those that's going.
Right.
I mean, I take a ride with my people. So I mean, hey, take me on over there. Let me be the first one. I'll set up shop for everybody. I'll see y'all when y'all get there. I'll be chilling.
Right. But that's if you get to go to another place versus stay where you are to replenish until it's totally cleansed.
I think some of that she's just going to take care of naturally, and the Sky family is helping with that. Once her frequencies elevate, she's completely back online. All that's going to take care of itself naturally. We have to get back into with her. She already going to do her thing.
Yep.
It's us.
That is so true.
Us who have to come along with Mama. It's either you go do what you supposed. It's either you do what Mama told you to do, or she put you
out of here. Yep, you are. Just like a black melanated woman. Oh, you think you're running some shit up in here? We'll put you out in a heartbeat. You get the fuck out. Absolutely, Brother Sean. That's a good point. And speaking of, I know last Thursday when we were on the air, that whole thing jumped off in New York with that power outage thing, transformer.
Oh, the blue light.
Yeah, that was blowing up, and they had the blue light or turquoise light flashing in the sky, and they gonna try to say it was the doggone transformer. Funny. Yeah. Mm. So, these are the things that, nature is constantly showing us, and we need to be in tune and pay attention. Yeah, I didn't want to put your business out there, so if you want to share with the family what had happened.
I could hear the transformer arcing. You could hear it. The lights went in and out like 3 or 4 times, and each time it went out, you could hear the transformer arcing. And the transformer is like 15, 20 feet away from my house.
Wow.
But Callie, they caught it on video. What was causing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they caught it on video.
Weapons.
Yeah, they caught it. They caught ships. They saw a ship that was about a mile wide and all kinds of stuff. They're showing it. And Louisiana, I think it was in Louisiana and Philly.
It happened in Louisiana, yep.
Oh, they caught that. He has a video about it. I think it's, what's it called? Gentiles prepare for
Gentiles something. Yeah.
Gentiles
and sorry, go ahead, sis.
It's Gentiles prepare for slavery, I think it is.
Yeah, and so his YouTube channel is Kalai, K-A-L-I, Ma'at, Amen Ra.
Amen Ra.
Yeah, it may be a new. It may be a new. But if you put that Kalai.
Amen.
Okay.
A-M-U-N. Amen Ra. You're right.
Okay, so Kalai, K-A-L-I, Ma'at, Amen Ra. And his channel is totally dedicated to videotaping and taking pictures of the sky and showing you the different crafts that are in the sky, the different species, beings, even the light body souls that's transitioning and coming back in. So I would highly recommend it. He does some great work. But as far as that New York light situation thing, now, Brother Sean, I saw before Brother Kalai put out his video, somebody else showing where it looked like a direct energy weapon, that DEW, was hitting those, what do you call it, transformer. But that still does not have anything to do with the sky turning the color that it was turning.
Exactly.
Because too many people have come behind and said, no, this ain't the first transformer that has caught fire or something is going, and that has nothing to do with the sky turning the colors. Now, it was brought to my attention, and I forgot on which YouTube video, but it makes sense. That purple that we are seeing in the sky, the purple, beautiful hue, and I know that you all, sis, out west, you're seeing it a lot more than we are on the East Coast. We see it sometime here on the East Coast, but I know out west, y'all see it a lot more. And on that equator, they're seeing it as well. That purple sky, you can't miss it when you see it. That is the combination of the red and blue Kachina.
Oh, yeah.
So if you mix red and blue together, you get purple. And when somebody pointed that out, I'm like, oh, shit, that's right. I forgot about that. So the Hopi Prophecy says, and when we had Chief Willie on the show a couple of years ago, and not bringing that man back. That man is, 85 something years old. He told us what the hell he needed to tell us. He did an excellent job telling us. You want to know, go back to the archives. But he said, when that blue Kachina shows up in the solar system, that's a wrap.
That's what he said.
That is a totally wrap. And, not only are the skies turning purple when we can see it in the sky, when it's not blocked, because they got so much shit up there blocking it with the mirrors and the false sun. That's the combination of the red and the blue Kachina energies or planets together making the purple sky. Okay, so that is what's going on with that. These are things that have been prophesied for thousands and thousands of years. And the parasites, they know this. This ain't nothing new to them. Okay, they've been trying to avoid it, been trying to do all types of tricks and manipulations of what we're calling time to throw the people off so you cannot connect to the new energies that are coming in to speed up the process. That's what's going on. But it cannot be stopped. So now we are literally at the point on who's going to connect to the new energies and who isn't. So don't think because you see folks being off the chain with their behavior that it's getting worse. No, it's getting the way it's supposed to be. That's folks that's not being able to process the energy, and their asses are going to be purged off. But as caretakers of Mother, our responsibility is to create the world that you want with your thoughts and cleaning up your particular bloodline and lineage with your actions. That is what we need to personally be concentrating on. And to be quite specific, especially for a lot of those brothers that talk that nation building shit and all of that. Start nation building with your own small personal family. Okay? We have brothers with so much knowledge. Okay? I know for a fact brothers have advanced knowledge on technology and energy. These are the things that we are supposed to be working on instead of concentrating on what the parasites that are dying is doing. They can't do shit more else to you that has already been done. They've had their chance to wipe you out. It didn't work. Because if they could do it, it would have been done. Generations ago, it would have been done. So we're not even supposed to be focusing on somebody that's dying, laying in a motherfucking ditch, trying to survive. Now is the time you're supposed to be really stepping up your game and taking back over the planet. Getting in line with natural law. You have to let that corporate shit go. You got to let it go. You can't bring it with you in the new frequency. Because it's going to get so deep that even the technology is going to blow your mind.
Right.
The technology has a dependency on a higher frequency. So don't think you need them for shit. When I say you don't need them for shit, I'm literally meaning not for not for energy, not for food, none of it. But you have to be prepared. You have to start putting in the work. And it starts with changing your mindset. Okay? If we say we are the indigenous original people with the God body gene, now's the time you're going to have to show it. So, okay, so that's all the updates I had. In case anybody had anything else. If not, we're going to move into the topic. Oh, Brother Sean, you sent me oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. Where'd this picture come from, Brother Sean?
I was at the rapid station on 55th.
Oh, my God. It is beautiful. He sent me a picture of the purple sky, and when I tell you, it is simply, I'm saving this. It's simply beautiful.
They say that it's caused by the lights in the greenhouse over there. And I'm trying to figure out what type by greenhouse is over there.
Like greenhouses for, like you put your plants in to grow.
Right.
Oh, okay, then. Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to figure out how lights from a greenhouse
emits that. Yeah,
that
okay.
effect in the sky and cover that vast of area. I mean,
wow.
No other lights in the city doing that. Like
exactly.
They are.
And that's not the only greenhouse in the city.
Yeah.
They the only greenhouse on the planet.
Right. I'm about to put up my little miniature greenhouse, so I'll let you know.
Because I'm just wondering if whatever lights they're using is actually cutting through all that little bullshit that they put up there and actually showing the sky for what it is.
Yes, I would agree. And I'm glad you brought that up because when I was taking pictures at night, I'm telling you, family, and Sis and I said this last week, the night sky is not what they're telling us.
No.
It is not what they're telling us. So I went and took pictures on New Year's Eve. It was 8 o'clock at night. I stepped outside because, you know, folks get ignorant with that goddamn shooting. So I said, let me get out here before it's close to his time.
Ooh, don't they, though? Ooh, my goodness.
I know.
They don't even know what's coming, and they already celebrating.
Yeah, I said, let me get on out here early, snap these pictures. So if you're going to do that, my recommendation is to take the flash off, or you can, because I tested it. I took some with the flash on, some with the flash off, and I didn't pick up really nothing with that flash on. So that's why I'm recommending take it with the flash off. So, family, the colors that I pick up in the background of that sky are purple, just like the purple Brother Sean just sent me, and green.
Mm.
And I'm like, they're not telling us. They are totally blocking out the sky. And if you was to Google right now, what was the color of the year for 2018, it's going to come back purple.
Mm.
And I just fell all the way out because they know what's going on in our immediate solar system. They know that those bodies or energy centers are here in the sky. Yep. People are capturing them on camera. They're capturing them on film, and they're just covering it up. So, damn, that's a very good picture, Brother Sean. Sorry, go ahead, sis.
You know, there's two things. On the way to Los Angeles, there was a storm up in the mountains as I had to pass through. and there was a rainbow, a huge rainbow that came up. And I said, whatever, I've never seen a rainbow look like that. And it was resting on the mountains. And as I passed it, it seemed to follow me for a while. I said, I never knew they moved. And so they said these are gateways that the ancestors are using as well. Now, those light bodies that Kalai is showing in the sky, I want to bring your memory back to the time that I died in the hospital. And what I saw was that electricity shooting from my left side, and I said, man, if I had blinked, I would have missed that. And that's me coming back. I said, oh, when I saw his stuff on there, I was thinking it was like Frankenstein, you know, how they put the electricity.
Right.
They're showing
you. Yep.
They're showing you to get life in you, you got to have that electrical spark back in you, which is your soul.
Exactly. Which is
and
your
I said,
soul.
oh, wow. So I was just absolutely enthralled when I saw all those light bodies going up, and some coming down. And I already talked about how they jump in once that embryo is connected inside of the mama. So
right.
I said, oh, wow. I mean, you know, our memory, I don't know. I said to myself, where did I know all this stuff from? But, yeah, it's coming back.
It's coming back.
And that's what happened to me in that hospital.
Yeah, and you'll do that. I'm sorry, sis. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I said, is my soul returning? Because I was dead for a while, you know.
Yeah, and those and that's a great experience. Not that you died, but you know what I'm saying. That's great that you had that, what they're calling out-of-body experience. But they also, anybody that's astro traveled, you'll experience that as well when you're first becoming conscious of astro traveling, because we all astro travel. It's just how much in tune you are to the universe to know when you are doing it. But when you first start to become aware of these things, you'll feel your body jerk. And then you'll start to feel your body floating. And you'll know that your body is still laying in the bed and you're floating up. Okay? And then once you get good at it, or as you're still learning, meaning you are aware, consciously aware of what you're doing, your soul is doing, you'll still feel that jerk, that electricity. And it looks like, if y'all seen the movie Thor, I'm going to tell you exactly what it looks like. If you've seen Thor, and you know how when Thor is coming down to Earth, and Thor is going back up to Asgard, and they create my husband, Idris, that's a damn shame I don't even know the character's name, create that gateway, and Thor goes through that gateway, and you see all of those electric lights. That's what it looks like when you astral travel. The only difference is the lights. In my case, they were white and blue. Okay, so you're traveling there, and then when you come back through the same gateway with those same lights. And then sometimes, you know, depending on, and I don't know why this is, maybe if you were kicking it too long, longer than you need to be kicking it, sometimes when you come back, you'll feel that boom, that jolt, and you'll wake up. Okay, so these are the things that we're starting to remember, we're becoming consciously aware of. And because you are a infinite soul, meaning the parasites, have been for probably millions of years. I'm a at least give they funky ass thousands. I can't give them that million quite yet. I'm just gonna give them the thousands for now. Okay, have been trying to mimic the powers that you have. So that's what they were trying to do with all of this teleportation, jumping dimensions. You're already able to do that naturally with your light body because you are an infinite being. Now, when we get to the series where we're going to talk about Tataria, we had mastered even teleportation from a physical perspective. Okay, so all of this knowledge is coming back online. Yes, sir.
While on the astral travel thing, there's times when there's this phenomenon that they used to call witch ride your back. You know, sometimes people think they possessed or whatever.
Right.
You're conscious of everything that's going on around you, but you can't move or speak.
Yep. Paralyzed, they call it.
Right.
Feel paralyzed.
Paralysis.
Yep.
What that actually is your body, you are astral traveling. And for whatever reason, your body is trying to awaken.
Yep, and you
before
can't.
Your soul comes back.
Yep. Thank you, Brother Sean.
You know,
thank you, Brother
people
Sean.
think because they get to calling out Jesus' name and all these other people.
You talking about me, brother.
Then they say they're sorcerers. No, what happens is your soul come back. God comes back. You come back.
You come back. Yep. Because when I was first becoming aware of astral travel, that happened to me. And I was laying in that motherfucking bed trying to get up, and you panicking. You literally panicking because you're like, what the fuck? I can't move. And then you feel that joke. Poof. And then you wake up.
Even talk.
No, you can't. You're saying this in your mind. I can't move. I can't move. Yep. But he is absolutely right. That's what it is. To show you how powerful you are. These parasites can't do that. They cannot do that. I was literally astral traveling one time, and I was fucking kicking it, y'all. With one of my relatives. I mean, just kicking it up. It was a party going on, literally. And it was so beautiful. And, you know, I was telling myself, okay, it's time to go back. But I'm still partying, kicking it. Okay, it's time to go back. I'm like, damn, I don't want to go back. Partying and kicking it. Then all of a sudden, I went through that gateway. Poof. I said, oh, well, I guess my regular had to come back. So thank you for bringing it up, Brother Sean.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm really glad he brought that up because I've been doing that for years and didn't realize what that was.
Yep.
You know, years ago when people used to die and I loved them a lot, I would go where they were to see where they were and if they were okay. I've never understood what I was doing. I never did. I would talk to them. They would talk to me. I'd walk with them. They walk with me. Never understood what I was doing. And that is beautiful that you guys gave those examples because now I know what that was.
Yep. We'll astro and see that's the thing that the new particular energies that are coming into play, these powers, and I'm putting that in parentheses, y'all can't see that, that we've been doing in the spiritual realm, because a lot of us are astro traveling and we're having these vivid dreams of fighting, having all these motherfucking superpowers or doing this extraordinary stuff, okay? That's what they're making movies about. All of these superhero movies are about you as this infinite being. But now the difference is with the new energy coming into play, and as the vibration of Mother raises more and more and more, our DNA strands are going to come back together, and we're going to be different and more powerful. And a lot of those things that we were performing in the astral realm, you'll be performing them in the physical realm as well.
Right.
Okay. So, and sometimes when you astral travel, you're really going into training. Literally, you are. You're going into training. And if you don't know what I mean, go back and watch that movie, Doctor Strange. That's what it was showing you when he had to go to the oracle lady. That was mimicking in the astral world. You set up environments to train. And once you get really good with the astral world, that's what they were trying to teach Dr. Strange, that it all had to come from his mind. And that's what we're trying to tell you all here in the physical, that you have to do the creation in your mind, not with the physical hands. So they were mimicking the astral world with him creating with his mind and controlling it in the physical world. Okay, so that's all that they were showing you. They were setting up, he was astral traveling, setting up those training environments to learn how to use his spiritual powers. Okay, so a lot of you will know what I'm talking about because you'll have dreams of you fighting with these special type of swords. You have dreams with you shooting electricity out your motherfucking eyes. You'll have dreams of you changing into different things. That is you training in the astral world. And then some of you may not even remember you're in that same astral world fucking up beings, fucking up parasite beings, cleaning things up. Okay? So this is why we are so strong on down here in this 3-density world on what you should be. Because you are much, 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 much more powerful than any of the parasites can ever be.
Hey, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Just to piggyback off what you were saying as far as the battles of the astral plane. It takes a toll on you physically, too.
Yeah,
it does.
Because there be times I wake up tired and know good
like
and
damn well
that I got enough rest.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Literally, you will get so good at it. And stop me if I'm wrong, Brother Sean. You will get so good at astral traveling, being aware of what's going on, that you would have to, before you go to sleep, lay down and say, okay, I am truly physically tired tonight. I'm not going to travel tonight. I am just going to truly rest and chill. Because he's absolutely right. You wake up the next morning like you've been drinking from being tired, and your equilibrium, your balance will be a little bit off when you first wake up. Wow. Because you've been, doing things in the other realm. So that's why I keep saying, for me, I don't focus so much on the corporate world because when you've seen the corporate entities in the astral plane, they're not who you think they are, and they are very much so powerless. Extremely, extremely powerless. And most of them are already dead. Okay. So that shit, we're not supposed to be down in the muck and mire on this low density bullshit. This one lady, it's a video, it's probably not going around anymore, but it was on Facebook. was this Native American, not indigenous American, but a Native American was putting her people in check about how they were treating the Black Americans. You mean us, the indigenous Americans. And she said to them, do you not realize they took all of the pain? They went into slavery for you. They took the brunt of that. And the lady was so emotional, she was crying as she was telling the story because she was putting her people on notice to get their motherfucking shit together. And she dared them be racist towards the Black folks because we the ones took all of the suffering for everyone. Okay, so she was so passionate about it, it had me tearing up. So a couple of weeks later, it came to me, we took the brunt of the pain and suffering for everyone on the plane. And you know why we took it? Because you are the only ones that could. You're the only ones that could survive it.
Right.
So now we went through that. It's over. The parasites are being wiped out. And your job as the indigenous person is to create the world that you want to live in with your thoughts, keeping your vibrations high, being in tune with the planet, paying attention to what is going on in the planet and in the ethers. So, I'll yield in case nobody else want to put something on it. We'll get started on tonight's topic because I want us to finish it tonight because I want us to get into the Black Nobility and the 13 colonies because when we start making those connections, you'll start to see how even deeper this whole thing is. And start connecting even more dots on who is whom and why it went down a certain way. So, Sister, Brother Sean, you all have anything else?
Not me. It just makes me cry just to think that we have suffered so much. And I think about that all the time. I really
but we're
do.
the only ones that could do it. We're the only ones that could do it. With the parasites coming on this plane, we are the only ones that could do it. And here in the Americas, once we get into the series of the Black Nobility, the 13 colonies, and we get into Tataria, you're going to even more see why the Americas is so important and why the end of the changeover is happening with us being a key piece to it. That is why you hear some folks over in Africa say everyone is waiting on the West. Everyone is waiting on the tribe of Judah. We are the leaders on this one. Yes, sir.
I will say this about what she said. We did take the brunt of it for everybody. Because every fucking immigrant to come over here and get minority rights or so-called fucking civil rights or any of that shit is all for our people.
That's right.
First and foremost, it's our land.
Yep.
Secondly, people fought for y'all to come over here and have rights. because it was all part of the system. So the fight was a dumb backwards ass fight to begin with, and
right.
That's why Martin said he believed he led his people into a burning house. Integrated his people into a burning house. And niggas still finding super new dumbass ways to integrate into a burning house.
A burning house.
Actually, it's the same old shit. It's just rewrapped and renamed like they always rewrap and rename shit.
Rename, right. And the house ain't even burning at this point. It's motherfucking ashes.
Like shit over in California.
Yep. Absolutely.
I heard that it was also some aliens staying over there in paradise.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Whether or not they were benevolent or, good or evil. I guess we'll never know.
Right. Well, and it'll be interesting with Cali, period, because we've heard a lot of prophecies with the landscape of the planet changing, and California also fits into that because California at one time was an island within itself. But then when these wars kept happening, some galactic, I put it this way, some galactic with the galactic technology, that's what changed the landscape a lot, what made the deserts and a couple of other things. But it was said that California set as an island on its own. And then when that great flood happened, it kind of, the flood and earthquake, it kind of brought California back attached to the rest. But that's why that fault line is there. So some are predicting that, California will go back to being an island, and then some of it flooding out. But let me take a step. Sorry, I got hoarse. But with that said, we do know that California's trying to, a lot is going on over there. Either folks are purposely trying to remove people from California with the DEW weapons, and or nature doing a cleanup as well. And I think it's a variation of two. I do think that the DEW weapons are being used in California with all of those fires. The reason I think that they're doing it is because they know that folks have to get off of that land, because California is a gross representation of what has gone on across Mother Earth with displacing the people and, making it economically unaffordable for folks to be there when the climate itself is a paradise climate. And it's no reason for folks to be suffering and needing anything. But because of this parasitic system, you have, in Caucasians, they got to put your motherfucking asses on blast again. Again, we living in truth. You have mainly the Caucasians that are able to afford to live comfortably in California, where folks with any hint of tint in their damn skin is barely surviving. And that's unnatural. That goes for all along the coast of the United Corporation States, or Mother Earth Americas. You have the Caucasians that are comfortably with their motherfucking legs crossed, enjoying the paradise, and the indigenous people, the true caretakers of the land, cannot even afford to live there and have been reduced to being their servants or having bullshit ass quote quote jobs. See, all of that shit is going to be corrected.
You know, it's not because of your education either. Because you can be really, really, really educated and have melanated skin and be the lowest one on the totem pole. Because they never give us a break. Never, ever, 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 ever. You don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to say anything to anybody, and you're the victim. It's amazing. You know, California is a very lucrative state. People live in great houses and everything, but most of us don't have homes. And so now they're dropping off the homeless here as well. So it's really changing. We pay more tax. We have more gas prices, the higher gas prices, everything. And people go up in their big old new trucks, the other races, and they fill it up, and they don't look like they're blinking. Whereas the ones of us who don't make that much, we like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost me. And that's how they're getting rid of us out of our homes and out of the state. And then they're taking care of the migrants or immigrants that come in here and giving them the jobs, and then turn around and say, we don't want them. You never offered them.
Right.
What they do is put their own in place and make sure they squeeze us out. And this stuff has been going on a long time, a long, long time. I lived in California since I was about 5 or 6, so that I ain't gonna tell you how long ago was that. But anyway, and I see it, you know, and I'm educated. I have degrees. I have degrees, but it doesn't matter. I have my melanated skin, and it is so bigot. And then to hear them on that disclosure talking about they gonna get theirs back because they're enslaved too, y'all guys need to shut up. It just really makes me mad to hear that. I tell you the truth.
Yeah, and that's why a cleanup has to happen, because you know we have two sets of folks, the indigenous folks with their head buried in the sand, like they don't know what the fuck is going on. And then you have, what did that article say? 74.5% of whites don't feel they have, you know, any part in the game of making the field evil, even from a slavery system. So you have 74.5% of Caucasian Americans walking around on stolen motherfucking land. I'm going to just re-put that out here again, because I want Caucasians to be very clear on where I stand. This is not hate. This is truth. You're walking around on stolen land, and your particular group is benefiting on this stolen land.
That's right.
And the indigenous people, whether you want to say native or indigenous black folk, are living in poverty and struggling. And you think that is going to fly with universal natural law, when there is no such thing as a shortage. All of it is man-made, because this parasitic system that you support, that you buy into, that you benefit from, sets it up that way to create shortages. You think that shit is going to keep standing. Oh, and let's put in the fact that you're destroying the planet.
Oh, concrete jungle.
Because you have no connection to the land, because it's not yours. So all of this shit is getting cleaned up. And nobody is exempt. California literally is a paradise from a climate perspective. You can grow damn near anything there. And the condition is just atrocious.
No.
Absolutely atrocious. All of that shit has to be cleaned up. Along the coastal lines, all of it has to be totally cleaned up. That parasitic system will be gone. We don't need it. And whoever don't like it, tough shit. Stand there and tell it to them motherfucking multiple suns and them earthquakes and them floods. Stand there and tell that and tell Mother Earth what you don't fucking like. You do not want to live in harmony with natural law. And that includes my melanated family as well. In the chat room, GD Thompson 42 put so eloquently, we went to sleep for a reason, but now it's time to wake people. Melanated people, you have to get your shit together too, or you're going to be purged. You have to live in natural law. You have to be a caretaker of the planet. Okay. All right, y'all. Okay, so we're going to get on to demonology because I do want to try to finish this tonight so we can go next week into the Forgotten Black Nobility and the 13 Colonies. Okay, so let me see. We were at the end of argument, the chapter 3. And we were at the argument of chapter 1's argument, the division of spirits in 4 principal kinds, the description of the first kind of them called spectra and ombre motorium, what is the best way to free of their trouble. So I remember.
We read that one.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to remember which one. Were we on the second to the last page before the new chapter, or were we on the last page before we went to chapter 2?
Last page.
Last page. Okay.
I think actually we up to chapter 3. Using the last
cool.
page of chapter 2.
Okay, my fault. And I thought I had wrote it down, family, and I didn't write it down. My bad. Okay, yes. Okay, so this argument, just to refresh people's memory, chapter 2 argument, this is in book 3, the description of the next 2 kinds of spirit, whereof the one follows outwardly, the other possesses inwardly the persons that they trouble, that since all prophecies and visions are now ceased. Now, isn't that interesting? That since all prophecies and visions are now ceased, all spirits that appear in these forms are evil. That particular chapter, they were, again, kind of throwing in their code the difference between your higher self and your lower self. And when you're in your lower self, that, these particular spirits or energies can infiltrate your system versus when you're in your higher self, that can't possibly happen. And then is this the one that he also talked about? Dude that turned into the werewolf. I don't see it. But anyhow, okay, so we're going to get on into the last.
That was Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar, yeah, I don't see it in that. It could have been in the other chapter. Okay, so I'll read Epi's and then Phi and then Epi. Okay, so I know well enough where for that era which ye allege hath proceeded, for it was the ignorant Gentile that were the fortunate thereof, who for that they not God, they forged in their own imaginations, every man to be still accompanied with 2 spirits, whereof they call the one genius bonus, the other genius malice, the Greek called them, and they had Greek characters in there, but they didn't put it in the book. Whereof the former, they said, persuaded him to all the good he did. The other enticed him to all the evil. But praise God, we that are Christians and walks not amongst the Sumerian conjunctures of man, knows well enough that it is good spirit of God only, who is the fountain of all goodness, that persuades us to the thinking or doing of any good. And that is, it is our, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you think that could possibly be Sumerian?
I didn't want to say that because it'd be spelled differently, but I think it is Sumerian, to be honest, Brother Sean. So let me read back over that. Because it's spelled, so y'all that's not looking at what we're looking at, it's spelled Cymerian. I think it is Sumerian.
With a C instead of S. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's studied with the is it Sumerian? It's Sumerian. Is it SYME? It's Sumerian is spelled SU. Yeah, it's SU. Okay, so it says, I'm gonna reread that sentence again because I thought that was Sumerian, but that's gonna be deep. But anyway, but praise God that we are Christians and walks not amongst the Sumerian conjectures of man, knows well enough that it is good spirit of God only, who is the fountain of all goodness, that persuades us to the thinking or doing of any good, and that it is our corrupted flesh and Satan that enticed us to the contrary. Wow. So here, they're not connecting themselves to the Sumerians.
They're not connecting themselves to Gentiles either.
But you know what? This is going to make sense next week when we get into Black Nobility and the 13 Colonies. This sentence makes sense to me.
Well, when Jesus was put in the Bible, he hated the Sumerians. He called them dogs. He said they'd rather feed a dog than a Sumerian.
Damn.
Because the food that falls off the table is for the dogs and not a Sumerian.
Okay, so let's just pause. It's still related, but I got to bring this all into perspective on what we all been studying up for over these years. So do you all think that sets the Sumerians as a certain different race than these particular folks? That's what I'm picking up too.
Yeah.
Okay, and so those that don't know what we're talking about, you need to do a little reading up on them Sumerians, and that's the whole Enki and Leo them.
Yep.
And that text goes where they came with the fuckery from another universe coming to our particular universe doing they didn't do the genetic experiments here. They brought genetic experiments here. Okay, but that whole Enki and Enlil story reads just like out of Genesis, but it gives you more detail from a scientific perspective. Okay, so now when you do your reading up on the Sumerians, you're going to hear a lot of people that's giving out the information looking at those Sumerians as their God, saying that they created them. And then you have a group of us, especially melanated people, saying they ain't my motherfucking God. That's your God. That's not my God. So this is very interesting to see in this text them setting themselves apart from the Sumerians.
Well, you know, the Sumerian civilization was one of the first, most advanced civilizations that ever existed.
That's what they say. That's what they say. But wait till we get to Tartaria.
Okay.
That's not
so
the case.
They're not saying they're Gentiles. They're saying they're Christians. So what's the difference between a Hebrew, a Gentile, and a Christian?
And when we get next week into the subject of the Black Nobility and the 13 Colonies, you're going to see the split in that whole religion stuff.
Right.
So this is kind of putting me. Oh, wait a minute. Let me shut the hell up. He's finna give it up right here. So wait a minute.
Okay.
Sorry, Al. So here he goes. Okay. So he said, basically, we talked about the Sumerian piece. Trying to catch my bearing. Okay. And yet the devil for confirming in the heads of ignorant Christians that error first maintained among the Gentiles, he whiles among the first kind of spirits that I speak of appeared in the time of papistry and blindness. And
papistry and blindness.
Yep, papistry.
And Pope.
And blindness. The Pope. Yep, the Pope and blindness. And hunted diverse houses, baby, and hunted diverse houses without doing any evil, but doing as it were necessary, turns up and down the house. And this spirit they call Brownie in our language, who appeared like a rough man. Yea, some were so blind as to believe that their house was all the sorcerer, as they called it, that such spirits resorted there. Okay.
Want me to read 5? We switch off.
Go ahead.
But since the devil's intentions and all his actions is ever to be evil, what evil there is that form of sin is their actions out?
It's not too clear to me.
You didn't hear me?
I didn't hear you. It
no,
like
it was
you were muffled.
But since the devil's intentions and all his actions is ever to do evil, what evil was there in that form of doing, since actions outwardly were good? I was reading 5. You do epi. That way you're not trying to do both.
Okay, doing both. Good. Before, and I had paused because Sis Cheryl sent me something in email on the Sumerian, and she was saying the Sumerian, Cimmerian, but that's not how they're spelling it.
Marian.
Yeah, but
it's Umarian, I think. R-I.
But she's saying that the Sumerians, with the CI people description, the Sumerians were an Indo-European people. Baby, that's still deep though, sis. It's still going to tie in very good to next week. But anyway, she said the Sumerian, this is the Cimmerians people description. The Sumerians were an Indo-European people who appeared around 1000 BC and are mentioned later in 8th century BC in the Assyrian records. They are believed to have been of either Iranian or
Babylonian.
Thracian, I'm probably not pronouncing it right, origin, or at least to have Iranian ruling class.
Oh, they were bad boys. I know who they are.
Yeah. But don't that still tie them to the Sumerians, unless I'm missing something?
No, the Syrians were very serious people. They were really mean. They used to tie people's noses with chains to the person's neck in front of them. When they captured, they were fierce warriors. Yeah, and the Iranians have always been that way. That's probably why the so-called Jews hate them, because they conquered quite a bit.
Right, but I'm going back to the Sumerian text and where
Iraq.
I'm sorry.
Present day Iraq a part of Sumerian?
Aren't they part of the Sumerian stuff?
No, I wouldn't give them that. They're kind of kin to the Jews. They're all the Jordanians.
Before Iraq was called Iraq, it was a part of Samaria.
Exactly. They were called the Sumerians. Exactly.
That was Sumer.
Exactly, because that's where they found those
Abraham.
tablets and stuff with inking them on it.
The city of Sumer. Okay, Sumer.
Now, y'all, this shit is deep. When we get next week into the Black Royals were battling with these group of people.
Right.
Yeah, baby, this stuff. Okay. All right, so let me go to Epi, because I know we want to try to finish with this. Okay, was it not evil enough to deceive simple ignorance in making them to take him for an angel of light, and so to account of God's enemy as of their particular friend, whereby the contrary, all we that are Christians ought assuredly to know that since the coming of Christ in the flesh and establishing of his church by the apostles, all miracles, visions, prophecies, and appearances of angels of good spirits are ceased, which served only for the first sowing of faith and planting of the church, where now the church being.
I mean, they said it ceased. So all good things ceased after Jesus came here because it's only served for a purpose. He said they made it up. All good things have ceased because it only served for a purpose.
Yeah, that's pretty much is what he's saying, that all miracles, visions, and prophecies, and appearance of angels or good spirits are ceased.
Yeah, because it was only used for a purpose to entrap people. That's what he's saying.
Which served only for the first sowing of faith and planting of the church. So,
Exactly.
So, in other words, to establish the church and to get people to believe it, where now the church being established and the white horse whereof I spake before, having made his conquest. Ooh, yeah, this is deep.
Oh, the white horse war.
I came with this book. You heard him say, and the white horse whereof I spake before, having made his conquest, the law and prophets are thought sufficient to serve us or make us inexcusable, as Christ saith in his parable of Lazarus and the rich man. Wow. So he's trying to say that those prophecies have been fulfilled, because the white horse represent the last
pale white horse is the death and war.
Right.
Oh wow.
Right. So that's interesting. Huh?
Behold the pale horse. It's the one of death and war. So that's that crusade crap. So they went about with a crusade, conquering and killing to establish their church. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's talking about. That is exactly what he's talking about, sis. And when we next week get into the Black Nobility, we're going to talk about the conflict that went on with this religious bullshit church stuff and the warring that went on for the land. So I find that very, very interesting that in this book that he admits that had gone on. Okay, and it's interesting because I hear people say, and it's just been recently I've heard people say that. I know I've heard Brother Remedy H say it a couple times, that the Bible was stuff that already happened. But the only exception
you know what?
is Revelation. Excuse me.
The Pliny the Younger's Bible is based on Titus, the Roman general, and his conquest. So therefore, all of that stuff is done because they were a family, the Josephus family, who was writing the history of all these people into stories for the people to have entertainment. That's what the Bible was for. It wasn't for anything to help people. It was just to entertain the Romans. And so it was Titus. You remember Titus, the emperor of Rome? And because they overthrew Nero. And they went through all these different military conquests with war. And they took down Jerusalem and all those cities over there. The Sumerians, Iraq, Iranian, all that stuff they conquered. And so it is a history book, but it's turned into a play. And that's what I was studying, and that's what Pastor Hagen and all these people are finding. These preachers are out here finding that the Bible was a set of plays.
Yes.
And so the people think these things are coming, but they already are. Like they said, they're looking for the devil to come in Revelations, but the devil is already here.
Right.
And it's been here for a long time, and people don't realize that. And they're waiting for the Savior. The Savior is over.
Right.
So,
right.
And,
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
No, I'm good.
Before I get put my 2 cents on it, Brother Sean, what page number are we on? Someone is asking in the chat room, and this particular copy I have don't have no damn page number. I must have
52.
52. Okay,
yeah.
All righty. Yeah, sis, that's a good point. But based on the research that I've been doing and what's been coming to me for the next 2-3 shows we're gonna do, you're gonna see where the whole quote quote biblical story took place, and then you're gonna see where, to me, Revelations is still applicable because it's dealing with the astrological events. It's dealing with the astrological events, which tells you physically what's going to go on with the planet. But the entire Bible, what I'm finding, was about the rise and fall of the kingdoms of the indigenous people. Yep. So we're going to, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to track through how that kingdom of Judah got established,
right,
based on some real shit, and it's not going to be old as what we think it is. It's I'm telling you.
Eleazar was the one they actually killed, and then because he was a warrior and he was fighting them, and he was leading the people, people of Judah, and he was leading them. So Titus and his son Vespasian, they went in there and captured them, and then they turned around, and they couldn't have another Eleazar who led the people into battle. This is where the turning of the cheek comes in too. And so they gave them a suffering Savior. so they would be more peaceful and docile. In other words, they started casting spells on the people, the Judah, the all of us indigenous ones, so that we would rise up against Rome ever again the way it is. And Bernardine, whatever her name was, Beatrice, or whatever her name was Titus's girlfriend. And she told the story. It's a video out on that. She told the story of how they came in there and learned our language. She was part of us, actually one of us, maybe one of the royals, because that's where she married Vespasian or Titus or somebody. And she wrote the story of how they took us down. And that's printed in the Bible as well. So that's truth with fiction as well in that.
I would 1,000% agree with that. And what these parasites are doing is trying to keep having us replay the same motherfucking script.
Right.
Over and over again. That's literally what they're trying to do, to keep having us play the same script over and over again. But those of us that got in tune with the energies, we like, oh no, bitch, no, all that we broke that spell. That spell has been broken, so you get the fuck on with the bullshit. But yeah, that's all they're trying to do, to get you to repeat these same spells. But we got some for that ass this time. So, Brother Sean, did you want to read the argument? Because you're reading Phi's part, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to read, we're on chapter 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The description of a particular sort of that kind of foul spirit called incubi and succubi. And what is the reason wherefore these kinds of spirits haunt most the northern and barbarous parts of the world? The northern and barbarous parts of the world. The next question that I would spire is likewise concerning the first of these two kinds of spirits that we have conjoined. And it is this. You know how it is commonly written and reported that amongst the rest of the sorts of spirits that follow certain persons, there is one more monstrous, nor all the rest, in respect as it is alleged. They converse naturally with them, whom they trouble and haunt. And therefore, I would know in two things your opinion hereof. First is such a thing can be, and next, if it be, where there be difference affected among these spirits or not.
Okay. I'm going to read Epi. That abominable kind of the devil's abusing of men or women was called of old incubi and succubi, according to the differences of the sexes that they converse with. By two means, this great kind of abuse might possibly be performed. The one, when the devil only as a spirit and stealing out, stealing out the sperm of a dead body, abuses them that way. Yeah, that's why I stopped. Now you see why I stopped. Abuses them that way. They not greatly seeing any shape or feeling anything but that which he so conveys in that part. As we read of a monastery of nuns or nunnists which were burnt for their being that way abused. Whew. The other mean is, would you say this?
I said yikes.
I know. I looked at it and had to pause. Okay, the other mean is when he borrows a dead body and so visibly and as it seems unto them naturally as a man converse with them. But it is to be noted that in whatsoever way he uses it, that sperm seems intolerably cold to the person abused. For if he steal out the nature of a quick person, it cannot be so quickly carried, but it will both tying the strength and the heat by the way, which it could never have had for lack of agitation, which in the time of procreation is the procurer and wakener up of these two natural qualities. And if he occupying the dead body as his lodging expel the same out thereof in the due time, it must likewise be cold by the participation with the qualities of the dead body, where out of it comes. And whereas ye inquire if these spirits be divided in sexes or not, I think the rules of philosophy may easily resolve a man of the contrary. For it is surely principle of that art that nothing can be divided in sexes except such living bodies as such living bodies as must have a natural seed to garner by. But we know spirits have no seed proper to them, nor yet can they gender one with another.
Okay.
All right.
That's gross.
Yeah, did we want to put something on that before we move on? I mean,
you know those paranormal things on the television, video, whatever they call them now, and the women talk about that a ghost raped them. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what reminded me of. And and what he's saying is they did it to the nuns too, and they would go into bodies to go into the nuns to do all that kind of stuff with them. That he was talking about spirits jumping into dead bodies.
Yeah,
and
so that I thought that's what well, I didn't know that incuba and succuba meant jumping up into no dead bodies, but I thought that they were like the sexual entities that have sex with folks to steal their
whole
energy,
thing with
right?
the sperm, taking the sperm out the dead body.
Yes. And you know what? These people now are actually dead, and they keep walking because there's some people, like we were talking about, as old as dirt and probably part of the planet when it first was created, and they're still alive.
Vessels, yeah.
Yes. And he's admitting they can do that.
Yeah, but I guess my only question is he saying that they jumping into bodies and having sex with folks to steal their energy? Because that's what I think. The sperm out of them. The succubus and the man version, I thought they were all about harvesting energy through sex. Okay. That's what I thought they were known for. And so the women are the ones stealing the sperm, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But then
okay.
you could also look at it like organ harvesters. They were stealing probably people of royalty.
Yeah, but they couldn't use it.
And trying to impregnate.
So that's almost like Rosemary's Baby, right?
Right. Trying to make a demon seed or something. I mean,
right.
You know, they're just doing all type of gene splicing and.
Yep.
You know, I mean, to me, I'm looking at it like, you know, like how somebody unattractive want to have sex with you and you say over my dead body.
Damn.
And they make you dead.
Gotcha.
That's kind of weird, though. He said a little bit of both, I think. They can do it both ways. They can jump into the body, or they were milking the sperm out of them as well. But I don't understand how, when they did the nuns, that they put the sperm in them, unless they were doctors and put it in them, back there practicing that stuff. Because they said the sperm was cold.
More than likely it was the priest. What do you mean?
Yeah,
doing it?
That's true. That's a good point, because I was thinking about when they talk about the dead.
Yeah.
Brother Sean, you and I just had a side conversation a couple of days ago where we seen a motherfucker shape shift in the motherfucking eyeballs. Meaning, they weren't like that before, but now we're seeing
the recorder,
jumped up into them. So that could very well have been the cases with the nuns and the priests, because remember, the priests be behind the scenes doing all the rituals and stuff that they tell common folk not to do, but they behind the scenes conjuring up shit. So it very well could be that they invited these entities. Exactly, and they started impregnating the nuns, because remember that the parasite on this planet, their whole thing is just survival. That's why they're not in tune, because it does not have in its DNA makeup that there is an abundance. So there's no need to be in survival mode. So that's why they'll try to mate and mix, especially with a higher being or a being. Well, if you're a higher being, you can't mate with them. But let's say a being with a stronger DNA makeup that has been matched to the planet. So that would make sense to me. That would make sense. Okay, Brother Sean, we ready for the next one.
How is it then they say sundry monsters have been gotten by them?
How is it then?
So, so here go Effie. These tales are nothing but a nihilist fabula. I guess a fable is what he's saying. Fable, yep, a fable. For they have no nature of their own. I have showed you already, and that the cold nature of a dead body can work nothing in generation. It is more nor plain as being already dead of itself, as well as the rest of the body is, wanting the natural heat and such other natural operation as it necessarily for working that effect. And in case such a thing were possible, which were all utterly against all the rules of nature, it would breed no monster, but only such a natural offspring as would have come between that man or woman and the other abused person, in case they both being alive had a go with other, which had a do with other. For the devil's part therein is by the naked carrying or expelling of that substance, and so it could not participate with no quality of the same. Indeed, it is possible to the craft of the devil to make a woman's belly to swell after he had that way abused her, which he may do either by stirring up her own humor or by herbs, as we see beggars daily do. And when the time of her delivery should come, to make her thorough, what the hell word is that? Thorough, great dolors, like unto that natural course, and then stubble to slip in the midwife's hands, stocks, stones, or some monstrous barn brought from some other place, but this is more reported and guessed at by others nor believed by me. So he trying to say that they faked the pregnancy? That's what it sounds like to me.
No, I think
there's no way for them to get pregnant. So but basically, like I said, that's all back on the priest. And we keep talking about the fact that a natural act had to occur. I mean,
right.
I guess they just wasn't saying it back then. The priest was fucking the nuns, and to cover up for it, they said they got pregnant by the devil or some demon or something like this, and then they killed.
That's what it sounds like to me. Exactly. And if y'all can remember, it's a story, and you can go Google it, and it's so heartbreaking, y'all. I want to say this particular church, this Catholic church, was in somewhere in Chicago. Don't quote me on it. But where they found all of those dead baby infants in the walls, where the nuns were pregnant and having the babies. They were getting pregnant by the priest. And just as Brother Sean said, they were killing the poor babies, and they were burying them in the walls.
Yeah. 700 of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember the number. I know it was a lot. So he kind of talked in riddles, but I'm going to believe what you're saying, that basically, they're demonically possessed, and they're knocking up these nuns, and then they're covering up the fact that they're doing it and coming up with all this fuckery.
Right. Because it sounded like they were really having those babies to me. Because the word they used, the thorough whatever, it gave me a vision of a girl running away pregnant into a barn having a baby, and then they take the baby. And I've seen movies where they take the baby once she gets into labor, and they go and kill it after the baby is born.
And now this just came to me. Now, who did the most adoptions? I'll wait. Who was responsible for adopting out a bunch of children? I'll wait. Wasn't it the church back up in the day? Was it not the Catholic Church that was doing all of these, quote, quote, alleged adoptions with some orphans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they ain't fucking slick. So that's probably what was happening. A lot of those adoptions that were going down. Sis Cheryl sent me something. King James, in his dissertation titled Demonology, suggested that a devil would carry out two methods of impregnating women. The first to steal the sperm out of a dead man and to deliver it to the woman. Mm-hmm. If a demon could extract the semen quickly, the transportation of the substance could not be instantly transported to a female host, causing it to go cold. This explains his view that the succubi and the incubi were the same demonic entity, only to be described differently based on the sexes being conversed with. Being abused in such a way caused women at nunneries to be burned, if they were found pregnant. The second method was the idea that a dead body could be possessed by a devil, causing it to rise and have sexual relations with others. This is similar to the depiction of a revenant of vampires and a spirit taking deceased corpse to cause mischief. It became generally accepted. Yep, that's what you see, sis. It became generally accepted that incubi and succubi were the same demon, able to switch between male and female forms. A succubus would be able to sleep with a man and collect the sperm. Yep, that's what we peep. And then transfer into an incubus. And you what? use that seed on women. Even though sperm and egg came from humans, originally the spirit offspring were often thought of as supernatural. Some sources indicate that it may be identified by its unnaturally large or cold penis, though many tales claim that the incubus is bisexual. Others indicate that it is strictly heterosexual and finds attacking a male victim either unpleasant or detrimental. Incubi are sometimes said to be able to conceive children. The half-human offspring of such a union is sometimes referred to as cambion. An incubus may pursue sexual relations with a woman in order to father a child, as in the legend of Merlin. According to the Maleficarum, exorcism is one of the 5 ways to overcome the attacks of incubi, the others being sacramental confession, the sign of the cross, or recital of the angelic salutation, moving the affected to another location, and by excommunication of the attacking entity, which
I
is
thought I saw that. I saw those series where they had to do sage and burning of sage in the house to rid the house of the spirit, because the spirit would come in and rape the woman in her sleep, and they had shadows of the spirit on the wall, but she couldn't see them. Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
So, on the other hand, the Franciscan Fair La Devocal Maria Sensatari stated that incubi do not obey exorcists, have no dread of exorcism, show no reverence for holy things, at the approach of which they are not in least overwed. Okay, so thanks, Sis Cheryl. That was that puts it in perspective. Very, very interesting. Okay, so I'm sorry, Brother Sean. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Which he may do either by stirring up her own humor, in other words, he seduces her, or by herbs, as we see beggars daily do.
Yeah, what do you think he mean by them herbs? You
know what he means.
You talking about smoking on some trees?
No, might be. No, but, or, they was doing the Cosby way back then. He said, beggars do it daily. How you going to be mad at bill, y'all? That bill free. That bill free.
Date rape drugs.
Beggars do it daily. They was nuts.
Dang, that would make sense, because they would know how to put some herbs together to make it equivalent to a date rape drug. Dang.
Beggars, though.
Hey, remember those rings? Remember the rings they had back in the day, in his time, that had a secret compartment?
Where they claimed it was doing cocaine in it, but yeah, cocaine or poison.
They could put poison in there and drop it in your drink, and the king used to have tasters because they didn't trust anybody making their drinks or anything, so the tasters tasted to make sure it wasn't poison. But they had those rings. Those rings, I think, came developed at that time, where there were double compartments and they can flip them open and drop the drugs in there.
Wow. G.D. Thompson 42 in the chat room says they were doing rituals with the newborn baby and then burying it in the walls of the church. That makes sense too. That absolutely makes sense. That makes sense. And they could produce the children themselves, do the little rituals, and those that they didn't kill, they would do that adoption agency situation.
One of the key, what is it? Ceramus? God, the king. He was killed by a bull. Oh God, that's where the priests used to sacrifice the children. They used to. Oh Lord, Nimrod.
Nimrod.
That's who. Yeah, his wife Ceramus. Remember, she got pregnant after he was dead, which came up with Tammuz. And the priests would make babies, have all these women making these babies to sacrifice to the gods. And that's where Tammuz, or the baby Jesus idea, came up, that you could have a virgin birth.
And you know, to me, when they mean the virgin birth, it's just taken, like they call surrogate motherhood. So in other words, insemination. So to me, that's all that they saying, that, you know, somebody that had their little sperm saved up somewhere. That's why it was cold. Don't you have to put the sperm up in the freezer or whatever? It doesn't so temperature if you gonna save it. And then
Nimrod died, and then she got pregnant, and that's where they got the virgin birth. So they must have gave her somebody else's sperm to have that child.
Right.
And the priests used to do that around Easter. They got these so-called nuns or virgins in there, and they had sex with them, and then they would take those babies, and they would have sacrifices with them after they were born. So they, around a certain time of the year, they would do that. So they talk about the papistry. Remember they said the word papistry? Back in the beginning? That's what they're talking about. They used to do that.
G.D. Thompson 42 is saying still doing it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. They used to do that. And that's that Easter. You know, that's what Easter's all about.
Right, it's fertility, or Ishtar. Right.
Fertility. And all these women that had those babies around that time, that's where the colored eggs come in, because they colored the eggs with the blood of the child as they sacrificed them.
Well, okay, so really? That's probably going all the way back to that Sumerian society with all that fuckery. So that makes sense. No, that's
Babylonians, Nimrod.
I'm going to have to go back to my notes because they tie in with that whole Sumerian, because I think what happened is they swapped out the names for the Sumerians, because those Sumerian folks have been depicted by other mythologies, but it's the same folks.
Well, they were worshiping, what was that god they were worshiping? They used to put the babies up on the god, I'm thinking not Tammuz, it was something else, and they would burn the baby up on this god for the harvest. So you're probably in that part of it, because God, who were those people? It's in the Bible.
Yeah, but that all ties back to the Sumerian text, because they were worshiping the folks up out of the Sumerian text. So all of those societies, because you can literally take the Sumerian text, specifically the Lost Book of Enki, and you can line up word for word to the Bible. Okay, so that particular biblical description of those people in the Sumerians, it's the same lineage.
Nama and Enki and Enlil and all of those people became different gods to the people. Remember that?
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
they all did.
Okay, Brother Sean, we ready.
After we digested it a little bit.
I know, that's okay. That's what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
So you ready, Brother Sean?
But what is the cause of this kind of thought to be most common in such wild parts of the world? Some or in our North Isles or ship.
Yeah, you were faint. You were real faint reading it. Yeah, we were getting like every other word.
But what is the cause that this kind of abuse is thought to be most common in such parts of the world as Lapland, as Finland, or in our North Isles of Orkney and Shetland?
Okay, so he telling y'all where the fuckery was going on. Y'all catch that? I don't know where Lapland is, but we damn sure know where Finland is.
That's the north too,
North Isle. Huh?
Mm-hmm. That's up in the north too, Lapland, or whatever you used to call it.
Okay, yeah, and it could be. I don't know what it translates today. I know where Finland and the North Isles is. That's interesting. Okay, so here goes Effie. What you say, sis?
It may be Sweden. Let me look up Lapland. I think it may be Sweden.
Oh, the last one is Sweetland. Thank you, Sweden, because he just spelled it Sweetland. So, okay, sis, you crack that code.
S-C-H-E-T.
Yes, Shetland. Yeah, Shetland. That's true. Okay, here go Epi. Because where the devil finds greatest ignorance, ooh, yeah, baby, I can't with this text. Because where the devil finds greatest ignorance and barbarity, there also, I don't know if that's also, sells he grossliest. The grossest is what he's saying. As I gave you the reasons wherefore there was more witches of womankind nor men. Okay, so.
They was melanated. He ain't say
Mo,
he said Mo. He
well,
said,
y'all
there was Mo witches.
He did say Mo. I ain't lying, y'all. He did. He did. He didn't say more. He did say there was Mo witches. I swear he said M-O. He sure did. He sure did, Brother Sean.
Well, we know the witches were melanated, too.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing, though. When he's talking about Finland, I don't know what the hell Lapland translates to.
Probably Sweden.
Or Shetland. I don't know. We do know where Finland and Northland is. Is he talking about a different bloodline of people? And the reason I say that is because he's saying of the greatest ignorance and bartary or barbarian. And when we go into the royal bloodlines, and when you're going to see them warring, you're going to see that it's two different sets of folks.
That's North Pole.
That's interesting. That's really, really, really interesting.
That's a Nordic North Pole. No.
That's what I'm thinking. It's North Polish. Yeah, like that North Pole region. Exactly. So is that a different bloodline of people that he's speaking of? Okay. All right, Brother Sean, you up.
Can any be so unhappy as to give their willing consent to the devils while abusing them in this form?
To the devils.
Okay. We have 2 minutes before overtime. If you want to stay with us, you need to dial in to 929-477-3858, 929-477-3858. Okay. All right. And if not, thanks so much for chopping it up with us. Truly, truly appreciate it. Okay, so here we go. All right, so here go Epi. Yeah, some of the witches have confessed that he hath persuaded them to give their willing consent thereunto, that he may thereby have them filtered the psychier in his snare. But as the other compelled sort is to be pitied and prayed for, so is this most highly to be punished and detested. Okay, so he's saying through the witch's confession, they was basically giving consent for the devil to do all those things. And we talked about that they admitted to torturing the witches and all of that. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
It is not the thing we call the mare, which takes folks sleeping in their beds, kind of spirit whereof you are speaking.
Epi, no, that is but a natural sickness which the mediciners have given the names of incubus unto ab incubando because it being a thick flame, or I don't know if that's flame or fume, falling phlegm. Oh, phlegm, like phlegm. Okay. Because it is a thick phlegm falling into our breast, and upon our heart while we are sleeping, intercludes so our vital spirits and takes all power from us, as makes us think that there is some unnatural burden, or spirit lying upon us and holding us down. Ooh, now baby, honey child, didn't we just get through talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't we talking about astral travel? When you feel that someone is sitting on your chest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought so. I just didn't want to put words up into nobody's mouth. Right, so he's saying that, so Fire's asking him, well, what about folks that was sleeping in their bed? And so Epi trying to say that if they were sick, but to me, he describing astral travel, and you feeling the weight on your chest when you're sleeping. Okay, so that was a good one. All right, Brother Sean, chapter.
The mediciners have given them. Mediciners given that name of incubus. Being a thick phlegm. Mucus, as we know, is the cause of the majority of all diseases.
Yes.
Or what we think is diseases.
Disease.
So that's actually a foreign agent that they created.
Which would make sense. That gave everybody.
Yeah, they were doing germ warfare back then.
That's another good way to look at it, because we know today, somebody brought this point up, and forgive me, I do not know which one of the teachers before us brought this up and said that, have you ever noticed that folks get the flu? There's more causes of flu in the winter than in the summer. And that these viruses, because it's cold, should not be able to flourish, right?
Right.
So in other words, their points being, you know that there's germ-fair going on amongst the people. They spraying the shit in the air. So that's a good point, Brother Sean. They could have been doing, the mediciners was doing the fuckery back then, mixing some stuff up and giving people colds and flus.
And getting people to confess getting people to confess all type of shit. People sick and they saying they possessed. And
right.
You want
been called a land grab, anything.
Right. Sorry, go ahead, sis.
They didn't have to give anybody anything back then. They were so nasty. They were such an unclean people.
But not everybody was nasty like that, though. I remember it was only us. We a mess, nasty. But, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because
they had roaches and rats and all kinds of stuff. But
that wasn't everybody, though, sis. That bubonic plague and all of that, that's just like, okay, let's put it like this. Let's say if your mama didn't teach you how to wash your ass properly, how to clean up your damn house, how when you go to the bathroom, wash your MFing hands, you know, for a woman, how to wipe yourself properly from front to back. Then disease broke out among that particular group that did not know how to do those things. And then it was spread among the rest of the population. So those people had to be taught how to wash their ass. You're supposed to wash your ass. I'm not supposed to be smelling you, and especially smelling you 3-4 motherfucking blocks over. No, when you pee and you shit, you supposed to be washing your ass. No, your motherfucking cat and dog ain't supposed to be on the counter when you when you cooking. And cat hair flying everywhere. So people had to be taught hygiene, but not everybody was just nasty. It's not possible because everybody would have been wiped out if everybody was nasty. That's what they want to tell you. Now, Caucasians, this is going to be rough for y'all, boo bears. This is going to be some rough motherfucking information. But we got to live in truth. That's what that whole them plagues and all of that stuff was about. It was about the hygiene of the Caucasian race had to be taught hygiene. Okay, so I'm not going to even put that on this mixing up of the flu, the cold, and the flu viruses. I think that was totally separate because everybody was not nasty. That was just a certain group of people, but because they did not know, disease started to break out among the rest of the population. That's just like you live next door to somebody that got some, and now we can say them fucking bed bugs. You bring the shit back to your crib, or you bring the roaches to your crib. So it's that same concept. It was one group of people, and it was the younger Caucasian group that had came from the Caucasus Mountains and other areas. And when we get into the subject next week, some of the researchers say that that particular group of the Caucasians, Europe, they were living in the caves and living in the trees. And early European civilization. Now, that's what they don't want to talk about, and they're hiding from their people. They put this lie out to the world that they have been ruling these European kingdoms for eons, and that is not the case. That's far from the case.
Right.
So, but
you
very
good. Remember,
you
got to remember earlier in this last week, I think it was, we went over a part where they were sending people over here. People were to catch the disease, and that was
Yep.
supposed to be an honorable thing, and they were sending them
Yep.
over here.
They
It
were
was all
sending
a
them
part
over
of germ warfare.
They were sending them over here, and we're not making it. Well, shit, it tells you in Demonology. They told you that's what they were doing, but to even bring it forward, RT News did a documentary on the early quote quote American settlers, and they talked about the white Europeans coming over here, and they were so destitute that they were disease-ridden, and they were digging up the indigenous Indian bodies, eating them.
Yeah.
Now, this is what RT News said. Rhonda didn't motherfucking say it. This is what RT News said, and they said that this is the history that they don't want to teach, that the Americans don't want to teach, that they are hiding. So that's what was really going on, and they don't want to talk about that part. So they didn't invent this elaborate story about white Europeans ruling over these dynasties for thousands of years, and it is far, 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 far from the truth. So, okay, Brother Sean, we ready.
Okay. The description of demonics and possessed, by what reason the papistry may have power to cure them. For I have told you now all my doubts, and ye have satisfied me therein. Concerning the first of these two kinds of spirits that ye have conjoined, now I am to inquire only two things at you concerning the last kind. I mean the demon. What is it? Demoniac.
Demoniacs. Yeah, demoniacs.
The first is, whereby shall these possessed folks be discerned from that or trouble with the natural frenzy or mania. The next is, how can it be that they can be remedied by the Papisty's church, whom we're counting as heretics? It should appear that one devil shall not cast out another. But then would his kingdom be divided in itself, as Christ said?
And then he has Matthew 12, or somebody put in there Matthew 12, Mark 3 as a reference. Yep. Well, damn, he kind of told him on that. Now, this is going to be interesting how he going to come back from that. Because now, did he not call the Catholic Church out?
Yeah, call them heretics.
That's what I don't want to put no words up in his mouth. So here go Epi. As to your first question, there are diverse symptoms whereby that heavy trouble may be discerned from a natural sickness, and especially 3, omitting the diverse vain or any signs that the papistry attributes to it, such as the raging at holy water, they're fleeing back from the Corsi, they're not abiding the hearing of God's name, and innumerable such like many things that were alike fascist and freckled to recite. But to come to these 3 symptoms then, whereof I spake, I account the one of them to be the incredible strength of the possessed creature, which will far exceed the strength of the 6 of the weightiest and woodest of the other men that are not so troubled. The next is the bolding up so far of the patient's breast and belly with such an unnatural stirring and vehement agitation within them, and such an irony hardness of the sinus so sinews so stiffly bended out that it were not possible to prick out of it were the skin of any other person so far. So mightily works the devil in all the members and senses of his body, he being locally within the same, suppose of his soul and affections thereof, he have no more power than any other man. The last is the speaking of the sundry language which the patient is known by them that were acquainted with him never to have learned, and that with an uncouth and hollow voice, and all the time of his speaking a greater motion being in his breast than in his mouth. But for this last symptom is expected such as altogether in time of their possessed bereaved of all their senses being possessed with a dumb and blind spirit, whereof Christ relieved one in the 12 of Matthew. And as to your next demand, it is first to be doubted if the papists or any not professing that the only true religion can relieve any of that trouble. And next, in case they can, upon what respects it is possible unto them. As to the former, upon two reasons, it is grounded first that it is known of many of them to be counterfeit, which while the clergy invents for confirming of their rotten religion. The next is that by experience we find that a few who are possessed indeed are fully cured by them, but rather the devil is content to release the body hurting of them for a short space, thereby to obtain the perpetual hurt of the souls of so many that by these false miracles may be induced or confirmed in the profession of that erroneous religion. Even as I told you before, that he doeth in the false cures or casting out of disease by witches. As to the other part of the argument, in case they can, which rather the reverence of the learned thinking otherwise, I am induced to believe by reason of the faithful report that men found of religion have made according to their fight thereof. I think it so be. I say these may be the respects whereupon the papists may have that power. Christ, and that's capital Christ, gave a commission and power to his apostles to cast out devils, which they according thereunto put in execution. The rules he bade them observe in that action was fasting and prayer action itself to be done in his name. This power of theirs proceeded not then of any virtue in them, but only in him who directed them, as was clearly proved by Judas having as great power in that commission as any of the rest. It is easy then to understand that the casting out of the devils is by virtue of fasting and prayer and in calling of the name of God, and that's the lowercase God. Suppose many imperfections be in the person that is the instrument, as Christ, and Christ is capitalized, himself teaches us, and he's quoting Matthew 7, of the power that false prophets shall have to cast out devils. It is no wonder then these respects of this action being considered that it may be possible to the papists, though erring in sundry points of religion, to accomplish this, if they use the right form prescribed by Christ herein, and Christ is capitalized. For what the worst is that actions that they err in other things, more than their baptism is the worst, that they err in the other sacrament and have ilked many, I don't know if that's any frets to the baptism itself. Oh, I got to pause. He is wordy.
Mm.
All right.
Surely
so what
it is
you
no
think?
little one. Oh, okay. Okay,
So
we
to
hear
me,
Minnie talk about. Go ahead,
huh?
sir. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say just real quick. So to me, he basically saying that the devil is, meaning the Papists, because remember they're calling the Papist church false and heresy. So as the priests, the Papist priests are trying to cast out these devils, although it may appear that their exorcism is working, it's really just the devil at that time releasing the body to calm down whatever is ailing them. But really the remedy is, according to Epi, is for people to be praying, and really to go through their higher self, their Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I had on that. That's what I wanted to put on that.
You know.
Go ahead, sis.
I was going to say, you know, I forgot. King James was a Protestant. He hated Catholics.
Yes.
And he showed Adam in this one.
Yes.
This is all about how fake they are and what they pretend to do. And when you were reading that, I said, oh, I forgot he hated the Catholics.
Yep. He hated the Catholics. Yep. Yep.
So that's why he's talking about how fake their exorcism is, and they the devil themselves, and worship the devil. That's what he's saying. So all of a sudden, we got them believing in Jesus like James used to. You understand? It's the scriptures switch, and they're pretending about Christ and the Virgin Mary and stuff. And James is telling you that they were opposed to his form of thinking, and they had their own thing back in the day.
And next week, I hope we can get to it, start on it next week, when we start talking about those royals. You're going to see why that he was battling with the Catholic Church. And then we'll get into a little deeper from a spiritual perspective as far as these bloodlines. That's why I also want us to keep in the back of our minds as we're going through this, who's whom, because it'll really tie together next week. Okay, sorry, Brother Sean, go ahead.
No problem. Surely it is no little wonder that God should permit the bodies of any of the faithful to be so dishonored as to be a dwelling place to that unclean spirit.
So that's a good point. So now why should the faithful have to go through that, basically? Okay, so here go Epi. Why only got one little damn sentence and Epi got a damn dissertation explaining. Oh, here we go.
Right.
Here go Epi. There is it which I told right now would prove and strengthen my argument of the devils entering in the dead bodies of the faithful. For if he is permitted to enter into their living bodies, even when they are joined with the soul, how much more will God permit him to enter into their dead carrions, which is no more man, the filthy and corruptible case of a man. For as Christ saith, and he's saying Christ in capital letters, it is not anything that enters within man that defiles him, but only that which proceeds and cometh out of him. And he's quoting Mark 7.
They added mouth to that, though, didn't they?
Huh?
They added mouth to the end of that.
Yeah, they did. That scripture, it proceeded out
Mark
the
7?
mouth. Yeah, they added mouth. It proceeded out the mouth. That's what it says in the script.
Oh, wow. There you go. Interesting. But to me, he still didn't prove his argument because I'm still in agreement with Phi. So, whatever, Epi. But, I mean, Epi's point is well taken because he's saying it's really, the soul is gone. It's just a dead body. So, whatever. But he should have left it at that. So, he lost that particular comeback to me. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Chapter 5, the argument. The description of the fourth kind of spirit called the fairy. What is possible? Yeah, I'm here. What is possible therein, and what is but illusions? How far this dialogue entreats of all these things, and to what end? Now I pray ye come on to that fourth kind of spirit.
Okay, so here go Epi. So we on the fairies. Woo, baby. Epi, that fourth kind of spirit, which by the Gentile was called Diana. Now, am I making that up? Which was called Diana, and her wandering court, and among us was called the fairy, as I told you. Or our good neighbors was one of the sort of illusions that was rise in the time of, or risen in the time of the papistry. For although it was holding odious to prophecy by the devil, yet whom these kind of spirits carry away and inform, they were thought to be the sunniest and of best life. To speak of the many, I don't know if that's many vain titles found upon that illusion. How there was a king and a queen, a fairy of such a jolly court and train as they had, how they had a time and duty, as it were, eat and drank and did all other actions like natural men and women. I think it like Virgil's, and he capitalized that, campy Elsie, or anything that ought to be believed by Christians, except in general that as I speak sundry time before, the devil eluded the sense of sundry simple creatures in making them believe that they saw and heard such things as were nothing so indeed. Okay. He didn't really explain it to me. He just saying that they was getting drunk and high. And they was imagining these fairies.
Well, you know, when I was listening to you, I picked up something. Now he's talking about Christians being Catholics and Gentile. I'm mixed up in which titles he's given to whom.
Let me see. He's saying, okay, so Diana was a Gentile.
So that was the witch.
Yeah, so apparently in her court, so apparently she had to be some type of royalty to have a court, right?
Yeah.
So she, among them, they had this fairy situation going on, or our good neighbors, okay, was one of the source of illusions that was rising in the time of the papists. So he's saying that fairy stuff came about during the time of the rise of the Catholic Church. Now that's
they're Gentile.
Yeah. Let me see. What was that other? Or any, I to believe, any Christian. I think it like Virgil's campy Elysee, or anything that ought to be believed by Christians.
So the Catholics are the Gentiles.
Yeah, that's what he said in this sentence. Yep.
And the end of the Revelations, the Gentiles are going to be destroyed. A lot of books say that about.
Or unless he was saying that the Gentiles, that the papistry rose up out of the Gentiles, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Because
so
the Gentiles
was created through the Gentiles.
So if we look at what's Hebrew, the Hebrew is us. We look at what is Gentile, the white, unmelanated people are the Gentiles, and the Catholics are the Christians? No.
No. He was just saying, I think at the end he was saying that if the Christians believing in that bullshit,
and the Catholics,
that they're being eluded.
Mhm.
He's saying that I spake sundry time before the devil eluded the senses of sundry and simple creatures in making them believe that they saw and heard such thing as were nothing so indeed. So that's what he's saying, that the Christians are to believe by Christians. Yeah, so that's what he's saying. If they so believe in that Gentile Papist fairy bull mess.
Okay, so they are Gentiles, Catholics. Wow.
Yeah, that's deep. That's
it
deep.
Is. So, when we get,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean. Go ahead, sis.
So when we get to the scriptures, when the preachers stand up there and call us melanated people Gentiles, they're calling us Catholics.
And not only that, they flipped the script, right?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so that shouldn't be no surprise to us, right?
No.
Because who are they saying that are the Jews now?
The Gentiles?
I rest my case. I rest my case. That's deep, though. That's deep. That's the first time I've ever heard the Papists called the coming out of the Gentiles, though.
Mhm. Wow, that's crazy. They stand up there and tell us that, and they feel as our children full of that crap that we're the Gentiles and we need to be saved.
Yep.
And Jesus died for your sins and all that kind of stuff, and they got the wrong titles on everybody.
Right. And everything is reversed, and all of it was identity theft.
Yeah.
It was all identity theft. And it was identity theft for land, but the deeper part of it, it goes back to these parasitic beings.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow,
all
that's
right.
Crazy.
I know. That is crazy. And I'm glad you caught that, sis, because I didn't even pick that up, that he was calling them Gentiles.
Yeah. So we know who the Gentiles, who is supposed to be destroyed in the end are the Gentiles. Because that's what the scripture says.
Now, I do have to say, when I was in the quote church growing up, the church that I was in, they didn't say that the Catholic Church was Gentiles, but it always was taught that they were Babylon and they were false,
and that's what they are.
They would be destroyed. Now,
exactly.
The particular church I grew up with would say that all the time, so I never had a good feeling about the Catholic Church at all. And then, of course, as I grew spiritually and started to see things a lot more, I'm like, whoa, this is really deep.
It says, what if Gentiles is really gentle? Christopher Columbus referred to us as a peaceful people.
And he was Catholic.
What he say about 50 of them could control any 500-600 of us or whatever. I'm just saying, have to remember this. Have to remember who this is coming from.
Right, but I say that when we get to next week, you'll see why I say that, because Christopher Columbus. Who commissioned Christopher Columbus?
Isabella and Ferdinand.
Ferdinand.
Okay, so what was their religion?
Catholic.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Whoa.
But King James and them, when we get into it next week, they always identified as the Hebrew Jews. They were staunch about that. And then
that
it
they
was
were Hebrew
battling.
Jews?
Huh?
That they were Hebrew Jews?
Yeah,
and the Catholics?
Well, the Catholics weren't even brought
Around.
into play. Exactly. We still don't even know, to be honest, how they motherfucking even started up.
Yeah, Pope Gregory and all them people, they came out of the what you call them? The Golden Horde, I think.
Right, but that particular papistry, I'm not, because that's going into next week. So just hold on to that. just hold on to that.
That is
But
interesting.
I was like tying the rest of it together with because when it gets to the part about yet whom these kinds of spirits carry away and inform, they were thought to be the sunniest and of best life.
I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
I mean, who was the cheerful people of the sun having the best life?
Cheerful and the best life in Catholics, for sure.
I see what you're saying, Brother Sean, and here's what I think. Damn, well, we might as well go into some of it, and that's okay.
You can't pass it.
I know, I can't get around it. So what had happened was King James them bloodline, who identified as the Hebrews and the Jews, kept warring with this other set of people, and then they kept going to different lands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when they didn't go to the different lands peacefully, for the most part. I guess based on what the parasites are doing, it was peacefully. But they still had that elitist attitude, looking down on people. So he's probably speaking of the indigenous Europeans before they even arrived, which were probably a set of melanated folk that were more into nature or whatever. So it could be that also.
Mm-hmm.
So I would agree with you on that. So when Columbus funk ass came onto the shores, that same ideology was in his mind as well. So yeah, you brought up a good point, because although the research I was looking at does not say when they were going into the other lands, meaning King James and them, that they were encountering the indigenous people of that land. They had to have been encountering other indigenous people, because the land just wasn't sitting barren. There was still other indigenous people there, and melanated indigenous people at that. So, that makes sense. And, Diana could have been a witch, like Sis said, what they calling a witch. And they had they magical fairies or whatever that kicked it with them. And, King James put it on the papistry and all of that. So that's a good catch, Brother Sean.
But then also you got to remember that anything that goes against the church's teachings got to be a lie.
Exactly.
It's real.
According to them, right.
Some of the theories are real. They say that they're not, but they are.
Right.
That's a whole different subject.
Yeah, that's a whole different subject. So I would agree with you on that. I don't think that the papistry or the Catholic Church probably had anything to do with Diana and them, with their particular fairies kicking it or whatever. He just put it on the Catholic Church. And to try to say, well, that shit ain't real.
Well, you know, the Temple of Diana. The Temple of Diana was in Rome, I believe. With
Thank you, sis. Love you, love you, love you. That fits in. That fits in because when we get into the Forgotten Black Royals in the 13 colonies, we're going to first go over how they navigated throughout Europe. And Rome was one of the places. And we know that to be true because as we were reading Demonology, we talked about how they talked about the oracles and all of that. They sprinkled in those different places over in Europe and Greek and Rome. So, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So they were encountering. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
And because the Romans, you know, in that, king of, God, that square over there where the Pope is, they have the Pantheon over there.
The Vatican.
The Vatican. They have, that's Peter. It's Peter's Square. Peter's Square. And they have the Pantheon over there. And they have multiple people they worship and have worship.
But remember when we did the story on the show, rather, on the divine feminine, and we went into the ancient societies that worship the feminine divine, the woman as the god, and we talked about those different temples.
That's in Malta, right?
Right, exactly. How Malta, they had all of the women temples there and how they were all destroyed. So they're giving us evidence in Demonology that as they were going to these new lands, they were once again, stomping out the witches or the oracles and brushing aside their spirituality and magic as devilishness and evilness.
And they were all one of a kind. They're all the same people. That's really strange. He just didn't see them that way, I suppose. Because they were all melanated that he was wiping out because he's a melanated
But
man.
see, that's where we as melanated people keep making the mistake.
Ah, okay, I got
Thinking that we're all the same. We're not.
That's a mistake.
We're not all the same. These are different bloodlines.
He said he's a Jew and Hebrew, right?
Right.
So are the witches. Cause
who said that? I ain't heard no witch say that she.
Wait a minute. When Saul went to the witch of Endor under so-called David, before David was on the scene, he was considered Hebrew.
And you remember where was that witch at? Do you remember?
Endor, the witch of Endor. Yeah.
I mean, where was she located? Was she in Rome?
I don't know where she was, but Samuel was around that time. Let me see if I can find in my architecture book where it was.
So I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that you have the papistry with whoever stood that particular ideology up. I believe that's one set of bloodline. That's the parasitic bloodline. Then you have the Hebrew / Jews. Then you have the indigenous people of these different areas. Because the indigenous people of their different lands, they didn't fuck with Hebrewism and definitely not Catholicism.
Oh no,
Catholicism. They were in tune with the land. They worshiped the land and mother and nature. So now this just Rhonda's 2 cents. Either one or two things. It's 3 separate bloodlines, or the Hebrew bloodline totally got away from the natural universal law and
number 2
started on the Hebrew stuff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll take the number 2 because we came from over here and went over there. Remember that? We went to Europe.
But we going to talk about that next week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, baby. We're going to talk about that.
That's very tempting. I think I may hang around.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about that next week because when I saw it, the way this person laid it out, I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, we're going to talk about that next week.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the first Egypt, and the other one is supposed to be the second Egypt, and David or Solomon went over there to fight the Arabs. That's the history they have in the book.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that next week because it's the same, but the locations are a little off.
Days of David.
Yeah,
I know David's over here. His temple's over here in South or Central America. I mean, you can see it in Cusco.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say where the Philistines. They talk about the Philistines, but they don't even tell where it is in my archaeology Bible here, where Samuel did his thing.
Yeah, so you have that information for next week. Because we're going to start out talking about the bloodline of King James.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have your information ready next week, and that'll be good so we can...
Oh, he's the first king of Israel. But Israel is not Israel over there. It's over here, so that's kind of weird.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that next week.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I got Israel.
It blew me away. It blew me away when I saw it. So either it was a split in the bloodline or it's a separate bloodline.
Well, there was a split between the Iroquois and the Toltecs. And when Solomon lost, Solomon II, I think, went under the protection of Nehemiah to Europe.
Well, we'll talk about it next week because you're gonna see once I lay out, according to this man's research, how that King James bloodline went through Europe. And you're gonna go, wow. So yeah, I'm with Brother Sean on this Diana one. Seems to me she was indigenous to, what you say, sis? Rome.
Rome.
Yeah, Roma. She was indigenous to Roma.
Yeah, because the 2 brothers found Rome. What are them 2 twins? Nebula. I mean, they found it, Rome. How can they find something that's never lost?
Right. That's what they say they found it. Just like motherfucking Franklin and them, didn't they claim they found over here? They ain't found a motherfucking thing. It was already here.
Yeah, so Diana had to be melanated because she was probably there before them Catholics came over there. And they had a seer there by
No, you're missing it totally, and I'm giving a preview to next week. Diana and them was already there. They're melanated. King James and them stepped on the scene. They're melanated. You see where I'm going with that? So that was before white folks had even got motherfucking involved.
Them Catholics and what's his name? Titus and all them people.
Right.
Titus is not melanated.
Let's not put all the Catholicism on white folks, because Catholicism started with
it started with us.
Exactly.
It started with us.
I know.
They have pictures. They have tons of pictures in Russia about melanated folks.
Better believe it. And hold on to that, sis, because as we finish up the Forgotten Black Royals, and when we get in Tartaria, baby, Russia was at the center of that shit. So we're gonna put all of the pieces together.
Who was at the center of it? You said
Russia was at the center. Russia was at the center.
Okay, because they have tons of black art, melanated art.
Yes,
Russia is loaded full of it. Black Jesuses and Marys and all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
Or melanated,
and
I shouldn't say.
Rulers of Russia. So there was no place on Mama Earth that melanated people did not rule.
That's truth.
That's why we keep saying that the Caucasian people came in at a much later date, and they were at the bottom of the totem pole. So that's why as melanated people, we have to break that spell and realize who is whom from a bloodline perspective and who is whom from a vibratory perspective.
Yikes. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be deep. Wait till next week when we get into tracking King James and them. You're going to be like, oh, hell to the no. It's going to start making sense. Okay, so I know we only had 10 minutes. Damn, we may still have to do another show because we're only on page 44. Okay, Brother Sean. 5.
Yeah. But how can it be then that sundry witches have gone to death with that confession, that they have been transported with the fairy to such a hill, which opening they went in, and there saw a fairy queen, who being now lighter, gave them a stone that had sundry virtues, which at sundry times hath been produced in judgment.
So here go Epi. I say that even as I said before, that imaginary ravishing of the spirit force of the body. For may not the devil object to their fantasy, their senses being dull, and as it were asleep, such hills and houses within them, such glittering courts and trains, and whatsoever such like, wherewith he pleases to delude them, and in the meantime their bodies being senseless to convey in their hand any stone or such like thing which he makes them to imagine to have received in such a place. All right, Epi, whatever. Okay, brother.
But what say ye to their foretelling the death of sundry persons, whom they allege to have seen in these places? That is a soothed dream, as they say, since they see it walking.
Okay, so here go Epi. I think that either they have not been sharply enough examined that gave so blunt a reason for their prophecy, or otherwise, I think it likewise is possible that the devil may prophesy to them when he deceives their imaginations in the sort, as well as when he plainly speaks unto them at other times, for their prophesying is but by a kind of vision, as it were, wherein he commonly counterfeits God among the ethnics. Isn't it ethnics?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I was seeing ethnics, as I told you before. Child, they not finna worry me up in this mess.
I would know now whether these kinds of spirits may only appear to witches, or if they may also appear to any other.
Here go Epi. They may do to both, to the innocent sort, either to affray them or to seem to be a better sort of folk, nor unclean spirits are, and to the witches to be a color of safety for them, that ignorant magistrates may not push them for it, as I told even now, but as the one sort for being perforce troubled within them ought to be pitted, so ought the other sort, who be discerned by their taking upon them to prophesy by them, that sort I say ought as I severely to be punished as any other witches, and rather the more that they go disassembly to work. Okay, so we could finish out this little, because this will be the last of this chapter if we can finish it out. He still didn't answer his questions to me, but go ahead on, Brother Sean.
What makes the spirits have so different names from others?
Here go Epi. Even the knavery of the same devil, who, as he eludes the necromancy with innumerable fine names for him, and his angels, as in special making Satan, Beelzebub, and Lucifer to be three sundry spirits, where we find the two former, but diverse names given to the prince of all the rebelling angels by the scriptures, as by Christ, upper case. The prince of all devils is called Beelzebub in that place, which I allege against the power of any heretic to cast out devils. By John in the Revelations, the old tempter is called Satan, the prince of all the evil angels. And the last, who with Lucifer, is but by allegory, taken from the day star. Down hear that? Down, I can't. He said it did. And the last two with Lucifer is but by allegory taken from the day star, so named in diverse places of the scriptures because of his excellency, I mean the prince of them, in creation before his fall. Even so I say he deceives the witches by attributing to himself diverse names, as if every diverse shape that he transforms himself in were a diverse kind of spirit. Gal. So admitting Lucifer is the morning star. Okay, Brother Sean, go ahead.
Oh, wow.
But I have heard many more.
Oh, gosh.
But I have heard many more strange tales of this series, nor have you told me.
Like you ain't answered my question yet. So here go Effie. As well I do in that, as I did in all the rest of my discourse. No, you didn't. But anyway, for because the grounds of this conference of ours proceeded of your sparing at me at our meeting, if there was such a thing as witches or spirits, and if they had any power, I therefore have framed my whole discourse only to prove that such things are and may be, by such number of examples as I show to be possible by reason, and keepers me from dipping any further in playing the part of a dictionary, hell no, to tell whatever I have read or heard in that purpose, which both would exceed faith and rather would seem to teach such unlawful arts, nor to disallow and condemn them, as it is the duty of all Christians to do so. Okay, so we're going to stop right there because we only had 2 minutes. So we'll pick up next week. And this is so good. Although I want to jump into the stuff next week, he giving up a lot of secrets, y'all. Because for him, that, Lucifer It's the morning star. He still didn't answer his damn question on them fairies, by the way. Blood
guess who worships Lucifer? The Catholic Church.
Yep. So we're going to do last words. Sis, you have any last words for the family?
I hate his ending. I like to hear the rest of it.
I know. I'm like, damn, they dropping some jewels. We tied 99 things together.
We're finally finding out who's who in Mother Earth. That's what he's doing for us. He's putting the pieces in order so we don't have to go by what they tell us they are. He's telling you who they are.
Yep.
I love it.
I know. I know. I can't wait either. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
The Bible has been called a book of astrology. It's a science book.
Yep.
The book about us. It's a book of perspectives. It's something that somebody else wrote. What we really need to know is in our DNA, period.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And for him to admit that in the last sentence about